Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lesmeries joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Friday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three. Bake is here. Dylan is here. Dylan, welcome. First time on the program, so very, very excited to have you along for the ride. And look, we got a lot to get to here. We got Porty coming up at 9:30. We got Tim coming up at 10:30, and of course Doug at 11:30. What we learned this week coming up at 11 o'clock. I think when you heard Bake in the update there, and you heard those comments from Dean Evison, I think that's when you try to put this Blue Jacket season into perspective. And we were greedy, right? We were hoping against hope that we would get another week, that we would allow for this, that the hockey gods would allow for this team to reach the postseason. And boy, if they got there, nobody wanted to play them. They've won 6 in a row now to end this thing. I believe we had that on how it was going to go last night, by the way. Kind of said yesterday exactly how that was going to go.
I believe you had that.
Well, all of us had it, Bake. Everybody had it. But yeah, I think I actually said it's going to be 5-0, 6-0, and ends up 6-1. It starts though with, and it is, it's hard to put into perspective. It's hard to put this season into perspective. And I know you've been there every step of the way. We've watched it every step of the way. Guys like Porty, who we'll talk to in 27 minutes there every single day in and day out. But I think unless you're in that room, you can't even they can't probably wrap their heads around it right now. But this all starts. And it starts with unspeakable tragedy. I mean, we were here on a football Friday, the first football Friday. It was Buckeyes opener. And it was probably about 8:20, and I started to get texts. Do you hear about this? Actually, it was on social. I started to see it on social. Like, you hear about this, about the Gaudreau brothers. And you're going, what happened? What did I miss? How did I miss this? And then Bob and Beam are on, and you're listening to their show, and then you say, oh, and then it all starts to come through. It has been confirmed, and then and then we did what we did, and here at the Fan, and all of you out there listening, we all mourned as a city together. I mean, it was on what is usually one of the happiest days on the sports calendar here in Columbus. The Friday before the Buckeye home opener on the football field was unspeakable tragedy and senseless, unspeakable tragedy. And then out of that, you say, well, how do you go forward? I mean, there's his personal, that whole thing with his folks and his wife and his young children and all of the stuff, and the Gaudreau family and the grace that they showed. How do they go on? You can't even wrap your head around that. But then you say, how does you got to play hockey games. Like, there's a schedule. You got to go play them. You got to have a camp. You got to play it. You got to have an opening night. You got to return to Calgary. Sean Monahan came here to play with Johnny, and now he's going, what happened here? How did this happen? No one's going to forget any of those moments. Those visuals will be forever branded in our brain. And you don't know how you're going to respond to unspeakable tragedy. Anything would have been acceptable. The full range was acceptable. Bake, you had this earlier in the week that the over-under of points accumulated by this team was 68. We said at the start of the season, we had pretty simple expectations, and it was have the outdoor game be relevant. Don't be eliminated by the end of February and March when the puck dropped on that outdoor game, and they weren't. But that's how minimal our expectations were. Don't be eliminated from the postseason by March 1. That's it, right? This is a young team who lost its best player to an unspeakable tragedy. And how would they respond to that? By the way, their captain didn't play many games this year either. You think about how many games Boone Jenner missed. And yet they won. And they kept winning. And the kids kept coming along. And there were moments when it was Kent Johnson. And you said, my God, this kid's unbelievable. Marchenko had moments certainly throughout this season. At the end, it was Fantilli. Zach Werenski was the standard throughout. He was the guy that we all kind of hoped in the wildest dreams he would become. He did it. He became that this year. He became one of the faces of the USA hockey team and everything that came with that. And the outdoor game did matter, and it was a monster moment for the city. It was a monster moment for hockey in this city. It was a monster moment for this city. And then you said, yeah, we want more. We got a little taste of it. We want more. And it didn't go the way that it needed to go in March. But this we've been saying really since the second week of March, this is all the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they did not advance to it. They felt they came short of that. But this last week, 10 days, has been a lot of fun. It's been a fun ride. And if you've been into places where when you make a run in the Stanley Cup, man, it's magical, guys. The first time Tampa Bay did it with the Lightning, with LeCavalier and St. Louis, I remember what that did in Tampa and how that just exploded with that first run to the Cup in the early 2000s. James has told the story when he and I did the show about Nashville. And when they made a run. And that's what we want. That's those of us who have followed this team, those of us who have been fans of this team, those of you out there listening who are fans, you've covered the team, whatever. What you want is for the sustained magic that the chase for Lord Stanley provides. And it's coming. It's coming. That's the takeaway I have from this year, guys, is you can now see a straight path to sustainable contending. We've never had that. I'm not talking about playing for the 8. I'm talking about making a run, winning a couple rounds. The blueprint for that is now in front of us. And there are franchise cornerstones now that are on this roster that, in my view, you can count on to do those things. And so this season had it all. I mean, I hope Porty writes a book on it. He could. Because it's hard to put it all into perspective when you think about your first memories of how it started and the immense tragedy to everything this season had. It was a movie. It was a movie. And it didn't end with the Hollywood ending of everybody gets in, but it's pretty damn close. And to me, it's one of the most satisfying seasons in the history of the franchise. I truly mean that.
Bo, as someone who has been a diehard Jackets fan, and I got to be honest, I can't say that I've been there since the beginning. I became a diehard Jackets fan the season before the lockout. So the lockout would have been 2005. So that 2004 season, I went to my first Jackets game and I was hooked.
Yeah.
So I've been around a long time. I can't say I've been there from the beginning, but I've been around.
20 years, buddy. I think that I'll give you from the beginning.
I just know there's someone out there that'll be like, hey, wait a second. But
I didn't see you in 2001. Where were you?
But when I think of Jackets, and I used to go to a lot of games as a fan, I've been lucky enough, especially this year, to go to a lot of games as a member of the media and covering the team. This season, the memories I have, I remember the series against Pittsburgh in 14 so vividly. I went to 4 of those 6 games. I actually went to game 1 over in Pittsburgh, and then all 3 that were here.
Yeah.
And how, gosh, you were such a good team that year, and you were so close. And then the Tampa year, like, I don't know how, that's, as a sports fan, that's one of my greatest memories. That's right up there with Jimmy Jackson's Ohio State basketball teams, the 99 basketball run, the 2002 national championship, like that Tampa series, and then the ensuing series with Boston. It was like, oh man. And then that all went away.
Yeah, quickly.
This team this year, I don't think it was the best Jackets team ever. They're obviously not going to the postseason. But the storylines of this season, and we'll talk about it more later, the things that we saw last night at Nationwide Arena, the Dean Evison, who really didn't have a lot of time with Johnny, Bo. He didn't. No. I think they met one time. before the tragedy happened, just seeing how emotional he was, because he knew how much Johnny meant to that team, to those players, to this city. And the emotion coming out of him, the Johnny hockey chants last night that started with about 4 minutes left in that game, because the outcome, you knew the Jackets had won, because they went out there and they took care of business, just like you said that you thought they would. This is a season, even though it's not one of the best teams we've ever followed here in Columbus, this is a season that I don't think any of us will ever forget.
No. Dylan, you were there every step of the way, bud.
Yeah, I've been in the radio booth since the 18-19 season, so that Tampa Bay year was my first year, but this season's right up there with that one. And you mentioned, the roller coaster of emotions they took us on with the start with, Johnny Gaudreau in the offseason, outdoor game, a stretch in March and April that made it seem like they took themselves out of playoff contention, and then this past week or two where they really made believers out of everybody that they were going to make this miraculous run and surprise us and make the playoffs. But also stuff to build on. Like you guys mentioned, this team scored the most points at home, tied for the most points at home in franchise history with the 16-17 team, which isn't a bad team in itself. So there's a lot to build on for this Jackets team, and more than just battling for a playoff spot, making some magic moves in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think is in the immediate future of this team.
Yeah, now it's time to go. And that's kind of what we're going to get into next, because there are a bunch of people who jumped on this bandwagon this year for all of the reasons we've been talking about, and now it's time to reward that with sustained success. So this season was magic, and I realize they just played a game last night, so we're not looking ahead to expectations already. But I will say it's a monster off season for them, and I think there are people who got a taste of this who want more and a lot more. You'll hear from some of the principals coming up next: Dean Evison, Zach Wierenski, Jet Greaves, who just was unbelievable the last week of this season. Porty's going to join us at 9:30. We've got some portal news we will get to as the show goes along. What are the Browns going to do at number 2 overall? Maybe some clarity on those side of things. Porty, Tim May, Doug, what we learned this week. We're off and running on a Friday edition, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Feeling unsure about preparing your roof for spring storms? Newman Roofing is here for you. For over 30 years, we've helped homeowners understand their roof's condition so they can make the best decision for their home. Stop worrying and call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit NewmanRoofing.com today. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
Do you suffer from leg pain, leg swelling, varicose veins, or leg ulcers? Dr. Barry Zeta and Dr. Joseph Senta at Ohio Vein and Vascular Polaris are pioneers in the vein and vascular field. Dr. Zeta and Dr. Senta can perform minimally invasive procedures that will get you back on track to a pain-free life. Stop living with leg pain and start the process to healthy living with a free healthy leg screening. Go to loveyourveins.com or call 614-324-VEIN. That's 614-324-VEIN or loveyourveins.com.
Spring is here and it's time for a fresh start, starting with your ride. At Germain Toyota, we've got an offer that'll drive you into the season in style. Get behind the wheel of a 2025 Toyota Tundra SR5 today for just $499 a month. That's right, a powerful, rugged Tundra, just like the one I'm driving, for $449 a month for 36 months. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road, or online at germaintoyota.net. $39.99 down, 36-month lease, plus tax, title, and fees. No security deposit required with approved credit. Offer ends soon. See dealer for details.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
Montana, Bettis, Horning, and Brown, some of the greatest of all time, kicked off their careers in South Bend. You can celebrate Notre Dame football's impact on the professional game by visiting the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton to experience Gold Helmet to Gold Jacket now through April 27th. And register to win our grand prize at 971thefan.com/Gold Jacket. One winner will receive 2 tickets to the Hall of Fame game enshrinement ceremony presented by Novartis and the Hall of Fame Museum. That's 971thefan.com/Gold Jacket.
At Diamonds Direct, our experts go the extra mile to ensure you have the tools to say I do with absolute confidence. Our promise to you is a completely risk-free shopping experience rooted in transparency, education, and integrity. No pressure, no intimidation, just clarity and confidence in your purchase. But we're about more than just price. Everything is backed by our exclusive guarantees. Put our tools to the test against any competitor, and our expert staff will ensure you get the very best overall value and unforgettable experience. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring into savings at Ohio Mulch. Get your mulch as easy as ever. Save $50 on home delivery now through Sunday. All you got to do is visit ohiomulch.com today.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply.
If you miss a little, you'll miss a lot. Search for your favorite fan shows wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. Every episode comes right to your phone absolutely free. Modern technology, it's a hell of a thing. Do it now. The Fan.
You can stream the game on your phone while you're gardening. You can stream it while you walk the dog. You can stream it at a trampoline park. You can even stream it at a monster truck rally. But the second you get behind the wheel, the game's over. Remember, Ohio, phones down. It's the law.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at a great afternoon, so make sure you get out and enjoy it. We'll be in the low 80s, but a little bit windy, so keep that in mind. More sunshine as well. We'll see temperatures tonight, mid-60s, pretty dry through the overnight until we get to early Saturday. That's when showers and storms return. A few could be strong, mid-70s. Lingering rain Easter, but there will be dry time as well. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
Here's a quick 10-second reminder that the Buckeyes have won the Natty. Also, we air all the games, and we always will. Thank you. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is, and we are sponsored and proudly brought to you by our great friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 78 years. So I have the moment when it was, this is my theory on when it was the very best to be a Blue Jacket fan. I have the exact moment. It's April 30th, 2019. That's the game where you came back from Boston, tied 1-1. You lost in overtime in the first game, won the second game in double overtime, 3-2. Bob was flying high, and you beat Boston here 2-1. Then you were up 2-1 in the series. And that's the show that Laurinaitis and I did, and I said, they can win the cup. He and I are like, they can win the cup. They got to go. Bob's playing that way, the way they're rolling. This Boston team, they can go. That was it. Now, the next three, obviously Boston won the next three, and they won the series 4-2, and the rest is history. But I think that's the moment. 2-1, April 30th, leading the series 2-1, and won that game 2-1. That's the taste of what everybody wants to get back to. Is that it was a brief, it was a couple of days, because May 2nd you lose 4-1, and then it's even, and then you got to go back to Boston, and away you go. But that, to me, when I think of like apex, that's the one.
And you know what's kind of funny, Bo, is with that season you had the Tampa, and I would almost argue that second period of that first Tampa game when you came from behind 3-0. And you went on to just dominate Tampa the rest of that series. I think that's when I kind of thought, look out for this team. But
did you think it was sustainable, though, at that point? Like, did you think
it wasn't.
Because in game one, were you like, we're going to win this series? It was just like, holy cow, they just came back on the best team in hockey.
I don't know if I thought that, oh, my gosh, they're going to win the series. And you definitely didn't think sweep. But that was a major body blow. I mean, that's not only on the ice, but that's mentally, right? That's not only physically, that's mentally. Mm-hmm. And I think that was huge. And I think there's a very I think there's a real similarity between what happened there, what you're talking about, and what happened this year, and the fact that the Blue Jackets put so much into that Tampa series. I think it just caught up to them. And the Jackets put so much into the Stadium series and that whole lead up to that in that week. And we know what happened after that, the 4-14-1 stretch that really kind of doomed the season.
Yeah, I see your, I think they just probably weren't ready for the waters that the Bruins were swimming in 2019, big long term, And so I think that's the other part that's what we want to get to. The things we're talking about, you're talking about scoring down 3-0 and coming back. That game was played in Tampa, obviously. They were the 1 seed. And I'm talking about winning one game in the second round. We're talking about what we want is to be the Bruins. What we want is to be the Lightning. That's when you go. We just did a poll yesterday on the show where we said, will you watch the Stanley Cup playoffs going forward? And it was, I think it ended up 40% said they'll watch, or 40% or so watch a little, 30-some% said they'll watch none. Is that how the poll ended up?
Yeah, I think it was like 37% said that they would watch a little, 34% said none, something like that.
Let me pull it up. But it was something in that vicinity. All right, let's get the final poll on this sucker. Who was down in Cincinnati yesterday from the operation? All right, so here you go. This is how it ended up. Will you watch the Stanley Cup playoffs now that the Jackets are eliminated? None of it was 44%. 37% was a little, 15% a lot, and just the finals was 3.4. So this goes to, there's a lot of things here, but you're never going to be fully engaged unless it's your team in it. And that's what we're striving for is that. And then when it happens, it's magic. That's how it's going to be. This season's been magic for them. Dean Evison has had a steady hand through all of it. He had a lot to say yesterday post-game, including how proud he was of how they played last night.
We played the right way. It would have been easy, I think, or easier for, team to just kind of run and gun and get into a track meet and not worry about, our defensive game or how we play, and we didn't do that. So, was there, proud and excited about how the guys played the game on that end of it. Clearly, we scored some goals, but we're more excited here tonight about our commitment to play the exact same way as we need to play to win hockey games.
Yeah, I think it's. I think you could see this one coming pretty plainly. I thought it would be a reward for the fans who have been there every step of the way. I think it was going to be a reward for themselves. It's the last game, so what were the Islanders? How locked in were they? Didn't matter. You were going to get a celebration last night, and that's exactly how it happened. This stretch run, though, is incredibly valuable. Let's hear from Zach Werenski on the pressure down the stretch and how hopefully it can catapult into something more sustained even next year.
Winning important games, winning games we have to win. We treated those games like game sevens, and I think just the response we had in here, it's only going to help our group moving forward. I think, we're a young team. We haven't been in this position in a while, and I think for us to, have this end of the season and realize how small the margins for error are during the season, I think it's great for our group, and I think it gives us extra motivation that, we just miss out, and we're going to be hungry for next season now.
Obviously, a big part of this stretch run was Jet Greaves. He was unbelievable. I loved when he finally gave up the goal in the third, and then the crowd started chanting his name. Even though
it was immediate,
so right away. God, that's great. Here is Jet on this stretch of 5 straight wins for him.
I think it's just been a lot of good experience for me, playing this many games in a short stretch. I think I've learned a lot, from that aspect of it, and it's just been a fun experience to be playing, meaningful games this time of year in the NHL. It's experience that you have to play in these games to gain that experience. So I think that's helped a lot, and it's just been fun to be a part of playing these games with these guys. I mean, the guys have been just doing such a great job, so it's been a lot of fun to be a part of.
Isn't goalie just one of the strangest positions in all of sports? It's kind of like closer, I guess.
Yeah.
When you're on a heater, nothing gets through. And he was on a heater here.
Bo, the one thing I've noticed about Jet Greaves here recently is he's a super quiet, super humble, doesn't show a lot of emotion kid, and that's probably why he's like the way he is on the ice. He seems just so cool and calm and under control. But I've noticed the last 2 games in the post-game media scrum, seeing a lot of smiles from him. You didn't get that a lot before, and to me, that just tells me that this guy is getting more comfortable, and he feels more a part of this team, and he's just letting his true personality come out. We got some big smiles from Jet the last 2 games, and it was nice to see.
I don't know if it's sustainable or not, but he deserves a shot to see if it is.
Oh, 1,000%.
You know, he deserves to. You know, there will be big picture. You know, what happens this summer, those kind of conversations that Dean Waddell will have, and Dean Evanson will have, Don Waddell and Dean Evanson will have in terms of what this looks like going forward. They'll work with the front office, and we'll see. That's the thing that kind of sucks, though, is you had a building that was so appreciative of everything, and the thing that sucks about it is you're not getting another game, and it's done, and it'll be. And this is just sports. It's just life in 2025. Things fly off our back quickly. Our attention span is very limited now. And it's what's next. And so that game last night was magical. It was as it should be. You lament what could have been. I think that's fair. But at the same time, you're not, for the average fan, those folks who said 40% they're not going to watch any of the Stanley Cup the rest of the way without the Blue Jackets being in it, for that 40% of the fan base, which is jumping on a bandwagon, they jumped off, and they're not going to jump back on until next October. And they're going to be like, what am I rooting for now? That's the reality of sports in 2025. It's especially the reality in sports that aren't football in 2025.
It is a bummer, but that is the reality of the Blue Jackets. But we know if they come back and capitalize on the success next year, they keep this going, the fans will jump right back on. And I think they'll jump back on pretty quick next season. Real quick, Bo, last night, I was not on your train. I did not think that we were going to see a whitewashing like that last night. I thought it was going to be a close conservative, close to the vest. You nailed it spot on, and I shared a text with you that I got from Mike Todd last night during the game. Todd, yeah. He was like, I believe Bo had that, which was daggone true because you nailed it, and I did not. I thought it would be like a 3-1, 3-2 type game last night, but that was not the case.
No, it felt like an annihilation, and that's what you got. Porty's been there every step of the way. He joins us in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
SoFi Personal Loan is here to help you achieve something once thought impossible, overcoming high-interest credit card debt. Walk the tightrope of your finances with one low, fixed-rate monthly payment, no fees required, and as soon as the same-day funding. That's right, pull off your own debt-defying stunt with a SoFi Personal Loan. Visit SoFi.com/trick to learn more. Loans originated by SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply, NMLS 696891.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Colin Mann here for the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Watching big events are more fun at Hollywood Casino. For example, there's this draft thing coming up. Large men get selected to move to different cities and play football. That's all I'm legally allowed to say. Not only do you get the excitement of on-site wagering and camaraderie, there's prizes to win at the Sportsbook. And sign up for Penn Play Rewards and play up to $500 on the house. Do it now. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Friday edition of the program. We head out on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline for the brilliant Aaron Portzline of The Athletic. He's been here with the franchise every step of the way, this season every step of the way. 2 incredible pieces in The Athletic that Porty has written in the last 24 hours or so, trying to put this thing into perspective. You've written a lot of words on it, buddy. They're eloquent, and you did the best as anybody could do on this front. But even with all that you've poured into this and as you've tried to reflect on it, it's hard to put this into perspective this season, is it not?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there's maybe this feels different if they had made the playoffs, but in a lot of ways, I don't know that ultimately does. I think that this is going to sting for a couple of days. I was a little surprised, honestly, because to me this season has felt like a success, and yet the word, especially in the morning, yesterday, a lot was disappointment. Right, there were still some resentment, and you can blame Carolina for dressing half of their team, but what I heard more of in the room was like, well, what about this game where we left that point out there? What about that game? Like putting it on themselves. There was a sense of disappointment. I think after the game last night, it was more of starting to sink in what this season has been and what it has meant, but there's a lot of different feelings and a lot of different emotions. It's obviously a touchy subject. You try to be respectful with it, not make it, over the top maudlin, because it is a genuine feeling in that room. And with the fan base, real connection there this year, and really unlike any year that this franchise has had.
And the thing about it is when, you've been around these teams when they get to the Stanley Cup playoffs and then you don't know it's going to end, right? This kind of had that feeling to it because you didn't know that it was over until the night before you played the last game. So up until then, you had hope, and they responded to the hope, and it was young players. It was Fantilli, brilliant. He got another one last night. Greaves, brilliant through this run. Do you subscribe to the notion that there is the experience here in the last couple of weeks, at the very least, is one that can catapult through summer and into next year, or do you more of the belief that every season starts new?
I think the experience of this season can carry into next season. I think there's such a long off season, especially when you don't make the playoffs, that really the idea of a carryover isn't real. I don't find there's much of that. I do think there's a sense now, and this is the question that'll come up later today at Blue Jackets when they empty their lockers and talk to us on their way out the door. I do think Jack Greaves has cemented his situation that he's going to be on this team next year. So that's something that's going to carry over. Is you're going to see Jack Greaves here. I don't think as a clear starter, but certainly someone who will have a chance to battle for playing time. But I don't have the belief that there's momentum from the end of one season to the next. I just think we've learned a lot here. That Marchenko is a big time scorer. Fantilli looks like an absolute future beast at the top center spot. That Monahan is a hell of a player. Werenski is going to get Hart Trophy votes, not just Norris Trophy votes. Like, there's a lot going on here. And when people say, "Oh, same old Blue Jackets, every year, it's wait till next year," they're not paying attention to what's happening here.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. You've been here through a lot of it. I've been here for a lot of it. This isn't that. This isn't fleeting. And now, though, I do think that, well, before we get into the offseason, because that's a whole conversation, you think about Dean Evison, and I was curious about how your view of him handling this and what he's done this season. He didn't know Johnny well. I mean, he just had gotten here and didn't know him very well at all. But just your vantage point of how he has handled one of the just crazy seasons, a season unlike any other.
Yeah, I mean, he gets hired July 22nd, and the tragedy occurs August 29th, right? So he had during that time had flown to New Jersey and met with Johnny. So you can't say that they really knew each other, but they had met. Listen, I have marveled, frankly, and the players deserve so much credit for doing this too. Boone Jenner's first reaction is get everybody here. We want everybody in town. Let's go. But Dean Evison guiding this group, and I love these tough Western Canadian guys. If you remember Dean Evison as a player, he's that fearless. He was kind of Derek Dorsett before Derek Dorsett, that type. And yet he's before the group and before us, and he's allowing his emotions to come to the surface. He's telling players, if you want to cry, cry. If you want to break something, we'll fix it. If you're angry, be angry. Like, do not bottle this in. This can be used as a way for your health, but also to bring everybody together. That kind of guidance, especially from a coach you don't know, a coach you revere and respect as a former player, I just think it's been a real – that and Meredith Gaudreau, I've certainly heard before. Dean Evison have really been guiding lights through all of this process.
Yeah, it's been remarkable to watch. And back to the other point that we kind of dipped off on for a second, and that is, the sustainability of all of that. This was kind of my vantage point of it. When that outdoor game happened and it went off the way that it did, which was incredible, the fact that they won all of it. There's a city, there's a bunch of people who are diehard Jacket fans, and they're there no matter what, but there's a bandwagon ability with the franchise that comes when you do something like that and it goes well. That's the thing that's a little bit bitter right now, because if you saw the building last night and you just hear the buzz around town the last couple of weeks, I think that's the bitter pill, is that you weren't able, unfortunately, to give them the magic that is the Stanley Cup. And I'm guessing when you talk to the guys today, that's where there will be a little bit of bitterness.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like at the start of the season, I thought it was kind of weird for them to admit this, but I totally understood it was their goal is to be in this thing March 1st for that outdoor game to mean something, right? And it did. And then it became the goal is for this season to still mean something when Jenner and Goodbranson come back. And it did. And then I think you can only set so many finish lines before you peak in your performance. And I think that's part of what the 4-11-1 was. But you brought a ton of people into this. So I've heard from them, people who are like, I mean, I want them to do well, but I don't really understand the game. I don't know much about it. And they were all over it this year. Different people. We have metrics that show not just how many people have read it, but how many new people are reading it and how many different people are reading it. And those numbers have been off the charts, which is a good thing. I think they've brought in a bunch of different people. I think the emotion of this, honestly, is going to attach a lot of people to this team. I think some of the personalities on this team are going to draw people in. Marchenko's pretty wild. Adam Fantilli is a pretty bold character that I think people are going to want to be interested in. So I think there's an attractiveness to this. Yeah, you're right. It is. You never expect at that point, but not getting up and over the hurdle into the playoffs is for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned one of the other parts of this, and he got another one last night. He ends with 31 goals. He's 20, Porty. He had 31 goals this year. We wanted a step from him. You got one giant leap out of the future face of the franchise, Adam Fantilli. What have you seen in his growth over the course of this season, and then the way he played here in the last week?
Well, I think you can divide his into two halves, and I think the first half was him needing to prove that he deserved the ice time that was available to him by being a sound defensive player. These guys that come out of the junior ranks or college ranks who are so gifted offensively, a lot of them don't know how to play without the puck because they've never played without the puck. It's like a college quarterback whose wide receivers are always open. They end up in the NFL and they don't have experience leading the receiver. They don't have experience throwing into a window. They haven't had to do it very often. So that was the adjustment for him, I think. It's easy to forget he lost the last 40 games of last season with an injury. So he was really getting back up to speed. The second half is where he has become a dominant offensive player. I believe, I'd have to check this, it was the case for a while, top 10 in the league in scoring over the last 40 games of the season. Certainly in goals. 23 goals in his last 43 games. Like that's a crazy pace, and none of it is unsustainable. The other thing we've seen is he's a big moment player. He's the guy who does not seem to get nervous. He says he doesn't. And when the moment is big, Werenski's this way too. Fantilli wants the puck on his stick.
Yeah, it's been remarkable, buddy. Incredible job out of you all season long. I know you'll have the player availabilities today as they clean out the lockers and all of that. Incredible pieces you've written already on this season, and look forward to talking to you more as this goes along and what should be, I assume, a monster summer. I mean, I do think there's now this was a cherry on top season. Whatever happened was magic, and they took full advantage. But I do think they're heading into a summer with quite a bit of pressure to now take this momentum and go.
And I don't think Don Waddell needs that pressure to do this.
Yeah.
He wants to win. He wants to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
This is not a rebuild anymore.
Nope. Time to go. You'll be there every step of the way, and we thank you for your time, my friend.
Oh, thanks, Bo. You're the best.
All right, he's the best in the business. That's Aaron Portzline of The Athletic on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Yeah, you hear that. He wants to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, okay. Let's go. Let's go. Pieces in place. Look at the smile on Bake's face. He can hardly contain himself.
It's just, we talked
So
about,
cool.
we talked about that Tampa series, and you didn't have the feeling that you do after last night's game because you didn't know, you pretty much knew that you couldn't keep that team together, right?
Yeah, you knew.
You knew that the management wasn't going to give Bob $10 million a year. You knew that Panarin wanted to live in a bigger market. You kind of saw that they didn't believe in Duchesne at the number that it would cost them.
Yeah.
This team is going to look different next year because there are going to be different pieces and parts, but what we know is the core will be here. We know Zach Werenski will be here. We know Adam Fantilli will be here. We know Kirill Marchenko, Kent Johnson, Matthew Olivier, Cole Sillinger. We know those guys are going to be there, and that's what's exciting. And that was the thing always with the Red Wings of the 90s and the Penguins here in their recent run and the Blackhawks when they had Taves and Kane. The core was there. The pieces on the outer edge may change here and there, but the core was there.
Yes. Core is there. Core is really good. And that's something to be very, very excited about. A just surreal appearance from Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee, including him retelling of his last meeting with the Jets. And the Steelers are still sitting out there waiting on all of this. We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you miss a live show, you can catch the podcast. If you miss the podcast, our hosts have volunteered to have dinner with you.
The meatloaf!
The Fan.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
When you join the plus side with AAA, that's all you'll have to do. Or you could learn to change your own tire.
Hey fam, what's up? Today I'm gonna teach you to change a flat. Before we start, make sure it's not raining, or hailing, or lightning.
Skip the hard work. On the plus side, get more with AAA. Go to AAA.com/plus side. Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like early pay, moving up payday so you could get your money faster, up to 2 days faster. And there's no cost. It's your money, right? So stop playing the waiting game. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring is here, and it's time to refresh your yard with Ohio Mulch. With 15 convenient locations in Central Ohio, it's easier than ever to get your mulch ready for the season. Need it delivered? No problem. Save $50 on home delivery when you order online. Whether it's mulch, soil, or even stone, we've got your yard covered. Visit OhioMulch.com today and spruce up your garden with the best.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply, cleaner, greener, better.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Here's a quick listening guide. When something's on the fan, it's on the station you're listening to right now. If I say something's on ESPN Columbus, it's on 1460 AM and the Fan's HD2. When in doubt, stream it on the Fan app. Thank you and good night.
Every great team has its core players, but when the season gets tough, adding the right free agent can make all the difference. The same goes for business. At Robert Half, we found that 67% of companies surveyed plan to increase their use of contract talent to handle workload peaks and backlogged projects. With Robert Half's specialized recruiters' experience, combined with our award-winning AI, you can quickly find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Discover how we can help at roberthalf.com/talent.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on Green Bay's team. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution Specialists.
We'll read your emails on the air, but we won't tell you where to send them. Hey, we're not doing all the work for you. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, normally we do the real truth on Tuesday, but I'm going to put the real truth to both Dylan and Bake here. Do you think Pittsburgh knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do?
I do not believe they know, because I'm not sure if Aaron Rodgers knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do.
Right, we have one vote for do not. Dylan, where you sit on it?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers even knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. You brought up the point before, though. I think he's waiting for an injury to a contender. Like maybe someone like Brock Purdy gets hurt in training camp. He can make the easy trip to San Francisco and play there. I don't think he has the situation that he wants to play in right now, so he's playing the waiting game.
It's a solid point. And that's the Flacco plan from a couple of years ago, right? Which is, and Tannehill tried this last year. And then an injury did occur, and it was Miami. Was it Miami? Yeah, it was Miami. It was like, geez, just bring him in. They had the injury to Tua, bring him back, and they didn't. They chose not to. That's always kind of in the back of my head that is that his plan. But to hope or to wait on an injury, I just don't know, like, mentally what's that like for him. So he was on McAfee yesterday and addressed a lot of this stuff, and we're going to play some of it in regard to his last meeting with the Jets, which was pretty wild how he retold this story on McAfee. I'm going to go opposite you guys. I think they do know. I think Pittsburgh does know. I think they know what his intent is. During the course of this interview with McAfee, he talked about how he's talked to Mike Tomlin a bunch, that they've kind of been in constant contact. I just think Pittsburgh as an operation is way too thorough to let this linger this long with their answer at quarterback being Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. I just don't think they would go this far into the process with a team that acquired DK Metcalf, that has the talent that team has, in a division where you have to, in a league, in a conference where you have to score. They just haven't been in on any of the other quarterbacks. They weren't in on Darnold. They weren't in on anybody. And to me, it just feels like, okay, they must have, at the very least, they have a very good idea of where he's leaning. And my hunch is he's leaning to play for them. I do think that he probably has hangups about playing there. Ideally, I don't think you want to play in that division, which is a snake pit. I don't think you want to play the majority of your games outdoors, in cold, in November, December, and January. No one would want to do that. If you had the choice, you'd much rather play. And we were curious, like, did the Saints situation, does that perk up his interest a little bit? Dome, easier division, decent talent, maybe not as talented as Pittsburgh, but decent. Is that something that he would be interested in? But all signs point to no at this point with that one. So if he's going to play, he really has two choices. It's either it's in Pittsburgh or the thing that Dylan just mentioned, which is let's just wait all of this out. We know that it won't be with the Jets. This was Rodgers yesterday on McAfee on his last meeting with the Jets.
I meet with the coach. We start talking. He runs out of the room. I'm like, that's kind of strange. I was like, then he comes back with the GM. So we sit down in the office, and I think we're going to have this long conversation. I've flown across the country, and 20 seconds in, he goes, I mean, literally, I'm talking to the GM about something, and he leans to the edge of his sheet and goes, so do you want to play football? And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And he said, we're going a different direction at quarterback. And I said, and I was kind of shocked. Now, not shocked because I didn't think that was a possibility. Listen, of course, they want to move on. That's totally fine. But shocked because I just flew across country. You could have told me this on the phone. If we weren't even going to have a conversation, and this is verbatim exactly how it happened. So I said, huh? And he goes, we just want to know how you want it released, the messaging. And I said, verbatim, I don't give a about the message. And I said, why? And then he said, I don't want to be up in front of the room saying something and have guys looking back at you.
Interesting.
And I said, what does that even mean? Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during a team meeting undermining what you're saying? I said, you don't know me. And he said, you don't know me. And then I said, exactly, which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jets and to hear your vision for the team.
Do you believe that story?
I have no reason to think Aaron Rodgers is lying here.
Yeah.
But I can't believe that Aaron Glenn, someone who played the game and has been a sought-after coach here for the past few years with everything he's done with the Lions, I can't believe that it went down exactly like that.
To me, it feels I could see Glenn doing it. Like, if you watched Hard Knocks, like he's got that in him. I think he's got that in him to do that. So I think it would. It is pretty crazy they didn't just do it over the phone and just call him and say, yeah, we're releasing you. Like, you know, worried about the messaging. Why would he care about the messaging about being released? It's been a disaster. It's been an unmitigated disaster. Some of it not of his own doing. I mean, you can't help an Achilles. It's a heck of a thing. And you think about day 2 of the NFL draft is a week from today. As we do the show a week from today, and you think about that, and Pittsburgh sitting there at 21, is there a quarterback that they picked or not? And if the answer to that is no, then to me, they know about Rodgers. And they know that he's coming into the fold because they have a roster that's ready to go. They don't really need anything else other than that. And the way that they've handled this offseason, it's either the biggest gamble of all time, and Mike Tomlin's got stones of steel, and he's just hanging out, waiting, trust the whole process, or they have some inkling what he's going to do.
I just can't believe that the production that Aaron Rodgers will give you on the field is worth the circus anymore. And hearing your team talked about on McAfee all the time and everything that comes with him, like I could see Aaron Rodgers being in the back of the room with the Jets, what they talked about, and being an issue, being a problem. I also, Bo, when I was listening to that, it was just the cadence he was giving that of, like, do you want to play football? You don't know me. Yeah, and I got flashbacks to Rob Ryan and his USC introductory press conference and just the whole cadence of it and everything.
Yeah. Here's the thing I keep coming back to on Rodgers, though, and he was actually pretty good down the stretch for them. Even as they lost, he was pretty decent down the stretch. AJ Hawk's about as good a dude as you're going to find, and he loves Rodgers. So any time that I think about like what he's all about, I think like AJ's one of his best buddies. And AJ loves him. And AJ's a great dude. So he's got that part of it too. Yeah, wild. My hunch is Pittsburgh knows. I guess my hunch, I tell you this, I think you'll know by next week. You will know. I think you'll have a decision with him next week on what he's going to do, and I think it'll be made public, and Pittsburgh will know it. What are the Browns going to do at number 2? We will get to that. You'll hear from the general manager, Andrew Berry, on the plans. Will it be a quarterback? Will it be Travis Hunter at 2, which everyone is kind of leaning towards? We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Here's a listener tweet. Can I tase Common Man in the nuts? Fine by us, but he may like it. Common Man and Tebow.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Guess what? It's driving season, friends, and my friends at Jermaine Lexus are ready for you with their most popular models on the lot and ready to go with special APRs as low as 3.99%, up to 48 months, or 4.49%, up to 60 months with low lease payments starting at $389 per month on the 2025 NX. And if you're looking for a TX, they're finally available for immediate delivery. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations to serve you, Dublin and Easton. JermaineLexus.com.
Discover uncompromising quality at a reliable price with Giant Eagle and Market District. Find everyday savings and bargains on produce, meat, and more. Look for signs throughout the store highlighting long-term lower prices. With our weekly sales, deals for days promotions, and My Perks loyalty program, Giant Eagle helps make the most out of every shopping trip. Surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and experience value like never before. Visit Giant Eagle and Market District today to see how easy it is to save.
Hey, living with chronic pain, it's like trying to get comfortable on a cactus sofa, walking on pins and needles. Nothing feels good. And forget trying to do the things you love and enjoy. Like the spring, it's getting warm, whether you want to golf, whether you want to hike, whether you want to bike, whether you want to play pickleball. You're just trying to get by. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter here. I want you to know something. The medical pros at QC Kinetics right here in Columbus are on the case and focused to finally get you the relief you need. Finally, calm that debilitating joint pain in your knee just like I did. Maybe it's your hip, your shoulder, your back. Don't miss a beat, no surgery or long recovery. I'm done with getting cut on. With QC Kinetics, the science is solid. They give you your life back. A life healthier, free of harmful meds. That's the whole mission of QC Kinetics. You could be a candidate. So go to qckinetics.com/Columbus to find out how easy it is. They've got offices now in Canal and Grove City, so call 380-208-4544.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Your home is more than just 4 walls and a roof. It's where life happens, where memories are made, where family gathers, and where you should feel safe. At Newman Roofing, we know that when it's time for a new roof, you want to feel confident that you've hired the right company, one that will install a quality roof and complete the work as promised. But with so many roofing companies out there, how do you know which one to trust? For over 30 years, Newman Roofing has helped more than 7,500 families protect their homes with quality roofing, gutters, and siding. We believe you deserve a company that provides a white glove customer experience, one that pays attention to every detail and treats your home like it's our own. At Newman Roofing, we're not just another roofing company. We're a family-built business that stands behind our work. So when it's time to replace your roof, don't settle for uncertainty. Choose the local family with a reputation for excellence. Choose the company you can trust. Newman Roofing. Call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit us online at newmanroofing.com. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
The sports calendar is heating up, and with ESPN Bet Sportsbook, you can go from checking news to stats to placing bets in a couple of taps. Stream games, bet live, and get exclusive offers when you link your ESPN account. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Evan Cohen here. When the draft clock is ticking, you've got to pick the best talent, regardless of position, to fit your team's needs. Well, if you're hiring for your business, you want to find the best talent for any of your roles. That's why you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful technology hustles to find qualified candidates for your job immediately. And if you see a standout candidate, ZipRecruiter lets you personally invite them to apply. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/USL. That's ZipRecruiter.com/USL.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Baker. The Columbus Blue Jackets into the 24-25 season on a 6-game winning streak after beating the New York Islanders 6-1 at Nationwide last night. The Jackets got a goal and an assist from defenseman Zach Werenski, giving him 82 points on the season. That ties him with Artemi Panarin for the second most single-season point total in team history. After the game, the CBJ sent goaltender Jet Greaves and defenseman Denton Matejchuk to Cleveland so they can play in the postseason with the Monsters. Rough day on the diamond for Ohio's baseball teams yesterday. The Cincinnati Reds losing to the Seattle Mariners 11-7. The Cleveland Guardians fell to the Baltimore Orioles 6-2, and the Columbus Clippers lost to the Louisville Bats 9-4. This one brought to you by Germain Toyota, the best selection of new and used cars in Central Ohio. You can view that selection online at germaintoyota.net.
When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is. Tim May going to join us in 28 minutes from now. I don't know. I don't really know why, but my kids are out of school today, and they're out of school Monday. Now,
it's Good Friday today.
I understand. Yeah. My wife's Catholic. My kids are Catholic. That pretty much makes me Catholic. So I'm aware that it's Good Friday. I do not recall as a kid going to Montana public school. I'm pretty sure I didn't have any days off around Easter. I remember being quite bummed by it, but that I was not off Friday, was not off Monday. Somehow they're off both. And my thinking here is that they go longer in the year, but they have all these little mini vacations that they put, because they get like a 4 or 5 day weekend around President's Day every year. They have a fall break. They have a spring break. They obviously have Christmas break. And now they have like this Easter break where they're off 4 days. So I'm always up at 6 and I start, working on the show. NBC was staying at a buddy's house. And for reasons beyond anything that makes any damn sense, he had his alarm. He was not in the bed, had his alarm go off at 6 a.m. with like bird chirping really loud. So that woke the others up. So now the littles are up. So as I'm getting the show done, my wife is still in bed. She doesn't have to take kids to school, so she's sleeping in a little bit of it. Well deserved. So after I sent you the show prep, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to take a kid to school. I got some time. I'm gonna go lay down for 45 minutes. Just chill for a little bit. Bootsy comes in. He hands me $25 cash. And I said, "What's this?" He said, "Well, Mom said I could get something." And I said, "Oh yeah, what are you getting?" He goes, "VC." I said, what's knowing the children, I know what this is. So VC is virtual. I believe it stands for virtual coin, but it works in Fortnite. You buy it so that you can get like skins or you can get other nonsense, is the way I understand it. And a skin is basically a new character, is what it is. So I said, "Well, how much?" He said, "Yeah, Parker's in on it too." So that's Beamsy. He said, "Parker's in on it too." And I said, "Is he? You guys are splitting this? $12.50 a piece? This doesn't seem like that he would want it. He's very frugal." I'm like, he's not going to spend his money on that. I don't buy that for a second. And I said, "Well, what is this for?" And he goes, it's for a new skin." And I said, a new skin of what? And I said, just so I'm clear, you're not playing a different game. You're just playing a game, the same game that you're playing with just a different character, and you're willing to spend your money on it and your brother's money on it. And he goes, yes, and Parker's for it. So I said, okay, send Beamsy down here. So Beamsy comes down. I said, you're in for this? He goes, yeah, Bootsy wants it. And I said, you're paying $12.50? And he goes, no. I said I would pay $2. And I said, well, he just told me that you're in for $12.50 of this thing. So then he goes, I go, do you know what this is for? And he goes, no. And I said, get Bootsy back down here. Bootsy comes back down. I said, what's it for? What's the skin? Sabrina Carpenter. I said, hold on. You're going to spend $25 of your money so you can play Fortnite as Sabrina Carpenter? And he goes, yeah. And I go, kindly leave. And he goes, but it's my money. And I said, well, where do you think you got the money that is, quote, your money? My birthday. And I said, yeah, but as a parent, it's my job to greenlight how you spend that money because you're an idiot. And in this instance, no, you cannot do that. So now he's in the dumps. So fast forward to now it's like 8 o'clock. My wife, in order to celebrate their just so well, by the way, we're on spring break like 3 weeks ago. I don't know why we have another break. So in an effort to celebrate their little mini Easter break that they have here, she's got a smorgasbord of just sugar. So it's just muffins and donuts and all this stuff. So apparently one of the young princes took a bite of the donut and they thought it was kind of stale. So I hear the doorbell ring. And because usually, I mean, I get Amazon packages. Like everybody does. You get those really early in the morning. Hear the doorbell ring. There's a human being standing at the door. And I'm like, what's this about? And my wife goes, it's Krispy Kreme. And I go, hold on a second. You Uber Eats Krispy Kreme for donut? Like, can we just go and get them? Like, what? She's like, it was free. I said, what do you mean it was free? She's like, yeah, I have the app. It's free. I said, honey, you are aware that Uber makes money. There's some built-in stuff there. How the heck do you think they make money if it's free? She's like, oh yeah, it shows that it's free. So this was my morning. It's an up at dawn siege trying to just, it's like the Warner Brothers cartoon when you put your finger in a hole in a dam and then 6 more spring open. So I put a hole in the dam. We're not spending $25 on a Sabrina Carpenter skin, and then 6 more holes opened. Krispy Kreme delivered. Top Golf. Why not? That's where they went after that.
I couldn't imagine if I was a kid and I didn't have school being up that early. Couldn't imagine it.
Well, if it wasn't for the idiot leaving the alarm on with the birds, they probably wouldn't have been.
By the way, that reminded me of back in the day when I used to work with Dad and we would travel for work. And he had this alarm clock of like a rooster crowing that was the most annoying thing I have ever heard in my life. But I will say, I think it was genius because you sure as heck got out of bed, if nothing else, to turn that damn thing off.
Are you guys get out of bed right away alarm guys, or do you want to snooze it?
I am usually a snoozer. I'll 5-10 minutes of snooze usually. But
okay.
Like this morning, I wanted to get in here a little earlier than normal because Reese wasn't here. So I was alarm one time up and in the shower.
I'm a snooze 4 to 6 times type of guy. Yes. I'm not a morning person.
Can't you just set your alarm like 50 minutes later? And then you would have like that perfect sleep all the way?
No, because I will snooze the alarm that makes me there on time, thus making me late. But going back to the Fortnite thing, I'm a 32-year-old man that purchased the Sabrina Carpenter skin because my parents can't police my funds. So I wish they would, so I would stop buying things like Sabrina Carpenter skins for Fortnite.
So it's a 23. So what do you get with it?
You get like a couple of her skins, and then a big thing in Fortnite is the emotes. So you want to do an emote once you like get a kill or an elimination. I don't know what they're calling it nowadays. I think kill might be politically incorrect. But then you get like for her, it's her songs and her dances. So you can like get an elimination and then do the espresso dance / song. Yeah, it's more of like a disrespect thing after you get an elimination. Like, you want the person you eliminated to know that you just eliminated them, and then you want to disrespect them with an emote on top of that. That's the whole premise behind it.
I see. Okay, so the game's the same.
Right, the game's the same. The game's been out for 7-8 years, but
forever.
They have a way. They've just created this system where they're making, kids like yours and adults like me just constantly go back for these V-Bucks to get different skins. Like, it's WrestleMania weekend. You can now purchase Cody Rhodes or an Undertaker skin starting today. So they'll make a boatload of money doing that. And I will probably purchase both skins as well.
I feel like this is a foreign language. Like, I'm listening to Dmitry Voronkov talk last night.
I'm telling you, brother, this is my daily. That's what I'm telling you. It's like Nam. Like, you're knee deep in the muck. You're just trying to get out alive, and they come at you with one thing after another. It's relentless, and it's the three of them, and now it's my wife door dashing Krispy Kreme. Like, it just doesn't ever stop. So I did have it right then. Like, so that's what. Now I understand it a little bit more. So for that money, what he would get is when he gets a kill of one of his buddies on Fortnite, he then can dance. That's the big payoff.
Yes, as Sabrina Carpenter herself.
Okay.
Well,
that song's catchy.
I cannot get, maybe this is just the old man in me. Yeah. I cannot wrap my head around door dashing food. And it doesn't make sense to me that I can't get around it because, we've had pizza delivered my whole life, and I'll get pizza delivered, and you obviously tip them, and it's more money and whatnot. But even now, as I'm getting older, like, I will plan, if I'm getting pizza, I will plan on ordering it when I'm coming from somewhere, and it'll be a place that's on the way home so I can just pick it up on the way, and then so I don't have to. I just can't imagine ordering $15 worth of Taco Bell and paying $30 for it. Like, it just, I can't. I've never done it, and I don't think I ever will.
She was convinced she got a deal because she paid $19 for a 12-pack of Krispy Kremes.
Doesn't she know nothing's free?
Of the century. I'm like, what are we doing, honey?
Nothing's ever free.
I'll tell you this. If the DoorDash, the Uber Eats, with the kids and their activities, it's pretty money. It's pretty money because you're chasing. You're just trying to find a spot to eat, and then it's the convenience of it is worth, at times, the convenience of it is worth the cost. Speaking of the cost, the Cleveland Browns paid a big cost in the acquisition of Deshaun Watson, and now they pick at number 2 overall. Is there a chance that they could get the quarterback sorted out this year? Andrew Berry's the general manager. He answered that question among others. We'll have that for you coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
This promo is brought to you by Common Man and Timmy Hall's Ping Pong Game. The Fan.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where our erectile dysfunction treatments are shown to be effective in nearly 90% of cases. Listen to what Alex has to say about our ED treatments.
I have been experiencing problems with ED, but that's all changed. My name's Alex, and I've been a patient for Tri-State Men's Health for under a year. I highly recommend this. Every day I wake up feeling good compared to I was back in the old days. It change is more exciting. I don't have a problem with ED anymore. I'm having a lot more fun. I was very comfortable. I was always comfortable in any conversation I had with Tri-State Men's Health. Yeah, I just want to let gentlemen out there know that you do not have to live with ED, that it is not just an aging process. It is also hormonal and balance and everything in your system. And once you get that under control and everything, you do go back to your youth a lot in how you feel.
Thanks, Alex. It's true. If you're like most men, we'll help you get your sex life back. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking with no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. It's your money, right? So keep more of it. Make the switch today at huntington.com/yourmoney.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof, every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Legend has it, underneath the NJM insurance offices lies a mysterious room of long-forgotten, moldy mascot memorabilia. Often pitched by ad agencies, always rejected by NJM. Is it real? We may never know. But what is real is NJM's dedication to doing what's right for their customers. Astoundingly, they're proud to put policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Learn more at njm.com.
Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
The Buckeyes are national champions. And you listen to it all right here on The Fan. And next year when they do it again, it'll be here on The Fan. And the year after that, well, you know the drill. Always and forever, your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Help DEA keep our community safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at a great afternoon, so make sure you get out and enjoy it. We'll be in the low 80s, but a little bit windy, so keep that in mind. More sunshine as well. We'll see temperatures tonight, mid-60s, pretty dry through the overnight until we get to early Saturday. That's when showers and storms return. A few could be strong, mid-70s. Lingering rain Easter, but there will be dry time as well. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
If your idea of the perfect radio show is all Buckeyes all the time, then it's your lucky day, Slappy, The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Producers, co-hosts, friends, some of those things are true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
I always think these are, for the most part, kind of silly. So some of it has to do with NFL writers, the NFL Pro Football Writers Association. And that could be some of that. Sometimes it's just goodwill for a team to do it. But what do you expect him to say? This is a general manager of an NFL team. He has an availability a week before the first round of the NFL draft. He's picking second overall. Like, the draft kind of hinges on what they do at 2. Speaking, of course, of the Browns, it is well known and well believed that Cam Ward's going number 1 to Tennessee. That is a big difference from what it was at the Combine, where they were taking Abdul Carter and they were not taking quarterback no matter what. That pick at best for them was going to be auctioned off to the highest bidder to come get the quarterback. Instead, they're going to hold firm. They're going to take Cam Ward. Okay, fine. So what happens at 2? What did the Browns do? As I've said many times, the information coming out of there is a steel trap. We're going to play some Andrew Berry stuff. I don't know what's the real truth and what isn't here. I think there's a lot of liar's poker going on. He was asked directly, do you have a draft strategy that is locked in? Here was Andrew Berry's answer to that.
A big part of this, this week and then going into next week is what we call scenario planning and strategy planning. So we're really right in the thick of it, Daniel. And that's not to say that, there hasn't been any thought of it at this point. That would be disingenuous. But, we'll use the whole shot clock, so to speak. We don't have to start making decisions until, really Thursday night. And so we'll use all the time afforded to us and, make sure that we have a thorough plan depending on, what happens at number 1.
So he knows what's going to happen at number one. My word's not his, but they know. It'd be pretty crazy not to. I think that what they will do, what every NFL team will do, the Bengals will do this, the Steelers will do this, everybody will do it. You'll spend this week saying, if this happens, they'll do 1 billion mock drafts in their war rooms. If this happens before us, how do we respond to that? And I believe him, and I take him at his word that is what they're doing at 33, at 67, and the rest of their picks, but not at 2. Not at 2. At 2, they know. They know what they're going to do at 2 because it's well known what's going to happen at 1. So they've ran all the contingencies, and my hunch is they have reached their conclusion on what to do at number 2 overall. My hunch is that's going to be Travis Hunter. Here is Andrew Berry on Travis Hunter wanting to play both sides of the ball.
So I think one of the things that is like you can't probably fully appreciate until you actually see Travis play live is just his elite conditioning. Like, going out and seeing him play at Colorado, he really never comes off the field. And it's unbelievable because there are more plays in a college game than there is a pro game. And it's like the guy, he barely pants like that, like that type of thing. So it's quite incredible. That being said, what he would attempt to do has not, been really done in our league, but we wouldn't necessarily put a cap or a governor in terms of what he could do. We would want to be smart in terms of how we started him out. I think I've mentioned before, we would see his first home as receiver and his second home, on the defense side of the ball. He has a number of rare qualities, but probably the rarest is his ability with the ball, his ball skills. And, we would want to put him in a position that maximizes that ability.
That's something Dane Brew, I was talking to him yesterday afternoon, and his Beast is published at The Athletic. And the thing that jumped out to me about Travis, and whether you watch him as a receiver or as a corner, there aren't many times when the ball is in the air that he doesn't come down with it. So he's an interception machine in that his ball skills are just elite, and the same thing on the receiver side of it. To me, it's the safest best pick. And I do think for an organization like this, I get why I've always, in the lead up to this draft through the combine and all of it, I'm like, number 2 either has to be a quarterback or it has to lead to the quarterback directly. So via trade, right? You trade number 2 overall, and let's just say, let's say Brock Purdy were available. Okay, fine. Brock Purdy for number 2 overall. Would you do that? That to me is what number 2 had to equal. It had to equal a look at a true franchise quarterback, one way or another. It feels like it's not. Travis Hunter is one of the few that I think I can live with if that's the way that they go. If they wait on quarterback, you got to be careful here, though, because there is no certainty that you're going to get it next year. Folks say, oh, well, get quarterback next year. I'm telling you, if Arch Manning's in that draft next year and has the type of season that most people, and I don't think he will be, but let's say that he were, there's no amount of pieces that anyone would take in order to give up that number 1 pick. That's what a valued commodity he's going to be. So, when you push the quarterback down the road, be careful how far you kick it, because it might get to a point where you just chase it like they have for the last 25 years.
It'll be in the only way, Bo, that the Browns don't know what they're doing at 2 is if Tennessee totally shocks everyone and takes their pick at 2. Right? If Tennessee says, hey, we're taking Travis Hunter at number 1, then I think it throws the Browns into chaos, right? Or maybe the Browns want Abdul Carter and they pick Abdul Carter at 1.
If what you just said happened, they would sprint to the podium with Cam Ward.
So they know regardless.
Yeah,
you think
I think they would sprint. I think it'd be like Usain Bolt.
So I wonder what it is. What it is then with Cleveland that makes them like Cam Ward that much more than Shedeur. It's got to be the upside, I'm guessing, but
I just think it's the high end. Let's remember this about Andrew Berry. Now there's a million things with Baker that if and I've gone through him a million times. There was this Baker Mayfield that you've seen in Tampa, I don't think was ever going to happen in Cleveland with this group and with the type of person he was at that time. He's grown up a lot since that time. But let's remember that when Deshaun Watson became available, the type of quarterback Deshaun Watson is when he was at his best, not the broken version you saw in Cleveland, the Deshaun Watson at his best What was that quarterback? That was a dual threat, really accurate, big arm threat every time he had the ball in his hands. And that's what Andrew Berry covets. Now, I don't know if that meshes absolutely with what Kevin Stefanski wants. I think if Kevin Stefanski had his way, and he's got a ton of pull, obviously, in that operation, you were shaking your head no on the Brock Purdy claim that possible thing. I think Kevin Stefanski would love to have Brock Purdy. I think that's exactly what he would love that.
And I think
he'd love Stafford. He'd love, and Stafford's different than Purdy, obviously. His arm is huge. But, I mean, I think that's like Flacco and even Kenny Pickett. Like, he wants play action, scheme it open, flip your head, spin it. That's what he wants.
And I think you're correct. Stefanski would love Purdy. I just shook my head because I don't think Purdy's worth the number 2 pick to me, because I don't think Purdy's, I don't think Purdy's a lock, stock franchise quarterback and worth $50 million.
Yeah, that's a conversation San Francisco is going to is sorting out right now, in fact. Andrew Berry was asked about if finding the quarterback is most important in this draft. Here was his answer on that.
Obviously, quarterback's the most important position. I think the biggest thing that we're thinking about going into this draft is really just adding good players and good prospects. Not overthinking it that way. Like, can't necessarily dictate the draft, although certainly you have more influence when you're picking as high as we are this year. But we're really just looking to add good players.
Yeah, I don't know how else he would answer that question. He was asked directly about Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart, 2 guys who you see linked to them at 33 or potentially as a trade back into the first round. Here was his answer on those 2.
So that's something that we actually have, I guess, call it like living, breathing kind of market value, so to speak. So that's it's not something that we have to retabulate necessarily every year, Tony. We generally know like the pricing if you want to move up, or what you would receive if you move back. But yeah, certainly that comes into play with any of those decisions as you get on the clock.
I find it almost impossible that they would still be trying, if let's say they do want a quarterback at 33 or they want to trade back into the first round. Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart couldn't be more different. So I just see no scenario where it's between those 2. Those 2 are not the same thing. Like, I think at the very least, if you connect dots, you can say Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, there's a type that they want at quarterback. That's the way I read it. So what's ironic about all of this is Shedeur Sanders kind of is that type. I think he is that. I think he's really accurate, and I think he's really bright, and I think he's a great teammate and really tough. I think he kind of is all of the things that they're looking for. Dart would take a lot of coaching. Milroe would take a ton of development if that's the case, because his ceiling is pretty high, but the floor is pretty low on that one. So it's going to be fascinating what happens whenever they chase it down.
That market value thing, by the way, like I totally, and we talked about this with Shedeur a little bit and whatnot. And listen, even I understand like certain guys you think are going certain places or whatnot. But if you think Jackson Dart is your quarterback of the future and it works out and you draft him at number 2 and it's a hit, nobody's going to care that you drafted him at number 2 and overdrafted him, so to say. So, like, that market value, that tells me they're not really looking at those guys, or they don't. Maybe they're looking at them like, well, obviously we can get this guy here, and, maybe at 32, or maybe they have a higher value on Jackson Dart, and they're like, we'll trade up to 24 to make sure we get him or whatnot or whatever. But that market value thing with the quarterbacks, at least, is out the window to me.
Yeah, sure is. At that position, it's do you like him? If you like him, there's no price that's too heavy or too big. Tim May in 2 minutes, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Common Man here for Germain Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Guess what? It's driving season, friends, and my friends at Germain Lexus are ready for you with their most popular models on the lot and ready to go with special APRs as low as 3.99% up to 48 months or 4.49% up to 60 months with low lease payments starting at $389 per month on the 2025 NX. And if you're looking for a TX, they're finally available for immediate delivery. Germain Lexus, 2 locations to serve you, Dublin and Easton, GermainLexus.com.
This spring, celebrate the sparkle that she brings to your life with something that sparkles right back. Whether it's for Mother's Day, an anniversary, or just because, Diamond Cellar has the perfect gift for the women who mean the world to you. Visit Diamond Cellar today on Selma Road and at Easton Town Center.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
Friday at 10:30, we like to check in with our good buddy Tim May, and he joins us now. Of course, the Tim May Show, and right here at The Fan. Are you playing golf today?
No, played yesterday at the Golf Club of Dublin. Had a great time on about 12 of the holes. See, I look at my golf game now as being now 71 years old. I look at it, man, if I can just get about 5 pars, I've had a hell of a day. 8, I'm doing pretty well. But I always have that hole or holes. Usually it's in parentheses, the S, the holes that just blow up anything I'm doing. But played with Dylan Davis from the Delaware Gazette and his dad for the first time.
Nice.
And they could both bring it. So my D game did not match Dylan Davis's A game. By the way, I'm gonna have him on the Buckeye Show later tonight when I co-host with the great Tyvis Powell. Just ask him.
He'll tell you. Let me ask you this: it's you and Tyvis tonight on the Buckeye Show, 6 to 8. How many shows have you two done before? Just the two of you?
We've done several. Matter of fact, we did a show one time where I was kind of called in at the sort of the last minute, and we got there, and so was the producer called in. It was a 2-hour show on a Saturday, and there was no, you know how you have your lineup, you know how you meticulously set up who you're going to talk to, what questions you're going to ask him, what hypotheticals you're going to get into, and all those things. We had nothing. We had nothing, Jerry.
Just too blank. I got nothing, Jerry.
And dude, it's one of the best shows I ever did because we just we winged it from there because he likes to talk about college football just like I do. And I'm also going to be on from, I don't know what's going on down at your station there, but I'm also going to be on from 10 to 1 on Saturday with Tito, and then on Sunday leading into the Reds game. So for an hour. So I'm making
all
cash,
wins
man.
when you're on, though. It's everybody wins.
Yeah.
So that's a
well,
win.
yeah. I mean, I you know me, I do enjoy talking as long as it's not a whole lot about football or soccer. You know what I mean?
We'll stay out of that.
Football.
Let me do this.
Excuse me, not football. Baseball and soccer. Baseball and soccer leave me hanging a little bit.
Well, you and I are similar in part of that regard. Let me ask you this: that spring game, I think we knew. You and I have not talked since. That spring game was really important to Ryan Day.
Hey, wait. We have not talked publicly since. Go ahead.
Fact. Yes, plenty privately about a great many issues, but in terms of about the spring game, we have not. All right. I thought it was a big one. I think Ryan said so before. I think about the way the quarterbacks played, and I thought they all had moments, but he had them throw it 61 times, Tim. He had the defense play pretty vanilla. He wanted to see how these guys would look over and over, and he was hoping for someone to make a case. I thought they all had moments. I thought Julian Sayin was brilliant. And I know that the reporting has been that Keenholz had the better spring, but when there were 40-some thousand people in there and the lights and Big Ten Network and all of it, I thought Sayin was, man, everything you'd ever want.
Yeah. I've got his high school coach coming on the Tim May Show again, matter of fact, later this afternoon, where we discuss when the lights come on, and like I told you, you can see the Pacific Ocean from his high school stadium. So
Yeah, it's crazy.
he's used to the big lights. But yeah, Bo, I was the first one to admit that as I'm sitting in the press box watching the Julian Sayin I saw the Saturday before in the Student Appreciation Day scrimmage, which, by the way, is a long, drawn-out bunch of plays scrimmage. He looked uncomfortable was the word I used, and he looked exactly the opposite in the spring game. He was on point. He was throwing that, what I call that Hollywood pass, like I used to say, Troy Smith used to throw that Hollywood pass when it would be something you would film if you wanted that perfect looking pass in like a movie, and Julian Sayin does do that. He was aggressive. He was really getting what I call, first time I ever saw him throw in person, he has a lean to him, like a forward lean to him when he's really on point and throwing the ball well. And he had that going for him, and he was accurate and throwing to open guys who were, conversely, they were catching it, which is always key, right? But he won the day. And, like you said, it's an accumulation of things, but the accumulation is, in my opinion, all right, you're coming down a hill. Are you picking up speed or losing speed? And I would say he left spring picking up speed.
I would agree. And it reminded me a little bit, and I understand the circumstances are different, but it reminded me a little bit of Haskins-Burrow, because I think Keenholz is a stud too. It reminded me of Haskins-Burrow a little bit. And the thing that I remember saying at that time was, and Joe, if not for the injury the year before, maybe it's him going into the Michigan game. But instead, it was Dwayne, and Dwayne was great in the Michigan game. And I just think no matter what happened that spring, it was such an uphill road for Joe to have to navigate to overtake Dwayne, because Urban had it in his head because he saw it. He saw him in the biggest moment go in and play great. And you can't erase that. And I understand it's not the Michigan game. It's a spring game. The things are very different. But whatever happens in the fall, I think you have in the back of your head, if you're Ryan Day, look, this kid came in, he passed him last season, and then he had this spring game.
Yeah, and I had Jim Burrow on my podcast a couple of years ago. Quite a few times especially during that Super Bowl year, and like he admitted is not the right term. He pointed that out also. As a coach, because he's a former coach, you can't erase from your brain, well, okay, that Michigan game didn't happen. And if things are close, you go with the guy that's shown you something that gave you some reason to rate him over the other guy, even if he got to the, to the Q first, Q-U-E-U-E, whatever, how you pronounce it. But he got in line first. And so that Billy Fessler talked about this, the new quarterback coach he's quarterback coach last year, really. But now the in-name quarterback coach talked about it. All three of these guys, they believe, can play quarterback for Ohio State. That's why they were recruited. But you still finally end up having to rank them in some form or fashion. And, it behooves them to let this go now into the preseason camp if everybody stays on board, only because they're really good. Lincoln Keenholz is a hell of an athlete. And,
yes, he is.
And his passing has improved dramatically. Forget about how he's sort of reshaped himself physically. He's a much bigger, stronger version of himself. But he can throw the ball. I mean, he threw some balls in that Student Appreciation Day that were really nice, and even on last Saturday he did. It took him a while to get the motor running, or at least to get it tuned up. And Julian Sayin was humming, man, from the get go. That's really what you want to see. Start fast.
Was that also, Tim, maybe why Ryan let those quarterbacks go live? And everything that you hear is that when it came time to live, like Lincoln kind of thrived in that. Like people bouncing off.
He did. But here's the thing. Julian didn't back down from it either. I mean, Julian took off running, knowing he was live. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then Riley Pettijohn, this freshman linebacker, I'm telling you, James, what do you call him, threes?
Yeah.
He's got himself a group, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But Riley Pettijohn reminded Julian that it was live at the end of that. And Julian jumped right up. So this idea that Julian, shied away from because it wasn't live every play, Bo. It was live in segments. And Julian jumped right up after that big hit, and So showed you something right there, in my opinion.
What did you make of the Nico Amalieva stuff over the last week?
Urban Meyer used to call them the third uncles.
Yeah. Well, this is dad.
I'm talking, but now these guys are legit. They're legit third uncles, and guys get bad advice, and sometimes you follow it. And Nico, I'm sure, loves his dad, obviously, and followed the advice of whoever his representative is, plus his dad. And now he literally is going to pay the price for it. I mean, and not figuratively, literally going to pay the price for it. And it's too bad, because I think I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight with Luke Fedlam, an attorney who has been on top of the NIL transfer portal convergence for a while now. He's a local guy, but man, he's wanted all over the nation for advice and things. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But you have to have these inflection points when you have big changes that make everybody sit back and reset, and this is definitely one of those moments. You're worth a lot to us, but you're not worth that much to us. We're talking about football here, where guys get hurt, et cetera. And it could be next man up any minute. And there's nobody, I haven't seen a quarterback yet that is has found the Holy Grail in terms of that's the guy to follow. I'm talking about coming from the get-go. But you know who turned out to be that guy last year was Will Howard. Yeah. And, he didn't have, the way I understand, he didn't have close to that kind of, he definitely didn't have close to that kind of value in the transfer portal from the NIL standpoint, but he's worth a hell of a lot of money now.
And I'll get you out of here on this one. Everyone was like wanting to give Tennessee all the credit for this, for standing up and all of this.
Yeah.
If Nico was better,
except for Clay Travis, he's talking about Ryan Day's beard. I'm glad to see Christina.
That's timely. That's very timely.
I'm glad to see Christina step in there and shut that guy up.
I think that Nico was he's the perfect quarterback to be made an example out of, because he's not good enough. Like, he's a middle top 6 to 10, right? SEC guy. Like, if his name was Arch Manning and he wanted $4 million, they'd give it to him. If it was Nussmeier, if it was Daniels last year, or Beck last year at Georgia, they would have given it to him. He was kind of the perfect player to be made an example out of.
Yeah, but here's
he's good, but he's not that good.
Right. But I just keep thinking back to that playoff game in frigid Ohio Stadium in the frigid shoe. And if they hadn't had him, it would have been really bad. I mean,
I said it all week. He was tough as nails.
Yeah, he had nobody who could catch the ball. He couldn't throw it to him for the most part. I mean, but he could run around and make some plays, and so he has value. He just doesn't have the value that people are telling him he has. And he, like I said, he's going to pay the price for it. But there's no. Once again, Bo, it's a wild, wild west. There's no rhyme or reason for some of this stuff happening, except for people wanting to improve their lot in life or their money. And when you put the two together, it's a bad combo in college football, because it's you got to have 105 guys, not just one. I mean, Tulane is one of his possible. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, they
UCLA.
bailed. I mean, it's going to be UCLA for. Yeah, no, they missed.
Yeah, unless I missed something this morning, I'm not sure if that's a done deal yet, because one of the reasons Chip Kelly wanted to leave UCLA, just like a lot of other schools, they didn't have the NIL wherewithal, man, to play.
I saw this. We got to run, but I saw reporting this morning. It was like 900,000. Yeah. So that's a hell of a long way from 4.
And you know what? And that's on the west. That's 900,000 on the West Coast.
That's right.
Where gasoline costs $5 a gallon.
But boy, the views are nice. All right, buddy. We'll listen to you at Tyvus
on your
tonight.
bike.
Look forward to it, buddy. Tonight. Thanks for your time, buddy. As always.
Oh, always a pleasure. You know that, Bo.
All right, we'll do a little thing or not a thing coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on the Fan.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State athletics, the Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Attention kingdom-seeking business professionals, entrepreneurs, and investors in Columbus. Are you ready to experience a life-changing event that will elevate your faith, finances, and future in 2025? Then you won't want to miss this. Join us for Life Search, featuring champions of faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center for an extraordinary one-day event that will empower you to transform every area of your life through the power of faith. Prepare to be inspired by an incredible lineup of champions, including college football champions Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, three-time national champion head coach Urban Meyer, sportscaster Kirk Herbstreit, two-time national football champion Tim Tebow, and more. These champions have experienced firsthand how faith transforms lives, and they'll be joining Life Search to share their powerful stories and insights on how to integrate faith into your business, finances, and every aspect of your journey. Seats are selling fast to this unforgettable event, so don't wait. Head to lifesearch.com now to secure your tickets before they're gone. Life Search, featuring champions of faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center. Don't miss out. Your transformation begins here. Visit lifesearch.com today.
Bring more fresh to Easter with great deals at Meijer. Savory Meijer's Spiral Sliced Half Ham is 79 cents a pound with M-Perks Limit 1. Discount automatically applied once you enter your M-Perks ID. Buy one, get one free pineapples or cantaloupe, mix or match. And a dozen Aunt Millie's rolls are just $2.99. Decorate your home and table with Easter decor. And make Easter a good deal sweeter for your little peeps with toys, candy, and more. Hop into Meijer, where Easter is a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Buy now with pre-tariff pricing at Coughlin Kia. Lease a new 2025 Kia K4, just $195 a month plus taxes and fees. Or choose low 1.9% financing for 60 months on a new 2025 Kia Sportage or Sorrento. Visit CoughlinKia.com.
Coughlin has the car for you.
1.9% for 60 months equals $18.37 per 1,000 with approved credit through Kia Motor Finance. 24-month lease, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents per mile over. 2025 due. Excludes $250 off fee, $400 disposition fee at lease end. No security deposit. See dealer for details and 4/30/25.
Hey, it's Anthony. Of course, I sit and do the show 3 hours a day. But after that, I'm looking to get things done and enjoy the spring weather. So I want to be on my feet a lot, playing golf, working out, just moving around. I was introduced to the Good Feet store because my feet were aching way too often. And what I found there is a 3-step custom arch support system that has me feeling awesome. My personally fit arch supports have helped realign my feet, reposition my body into a more ideal position, and not only that, strengthen my feet to help support me. It's made all the difference in how I feel every day. The Good Feet store is going to help you where you need relief and find the arch supports that work best for you. And when you wear them as a system, their arch supports are more effective at long-term pain reduction and elimination. So go in, take the free test walk. Good Feet arch supports are immediately available. Their products are proudly made in the USA. They're on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City or at goodfeet.com.
Tee to Green with Skip Mosick.
Saturday, we'll hear from former Buckeye Maxwell Moldovan coming off his first pro win. Check in at this week's tour stop at Hilton Head and visit with Dave Shedlowski of Golf Digest.
Tee to Green with Skip Mosick. Saturday mornings at 9 on The Fan.
Open the door to savings with beautiful Mastercraft doors at Menards. Mastercraft steel entry doors add security and improve the appearance of your home. Choose from our huge in-stock selection or design your door your way with our free step-by-step design program, online or in-store. Save big on Mastercraft doors at Menards. And check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for more great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Friday. Hit it, fellas.
Or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
So this coming down from Jackets insider Jeff Svoboda here in the last couple of minutes. Jet Greaves finished the NHL season with a 7-2-2 record, a 1.91 goals against average, and a .938 save percentage after winning the last 5 games of the season. In those 5 games, Greaves had a .8 goals against average in a .975 save percentage. His save percentage was the best of any NHL goalie this season with at least 10 appearances. Thing or not a thing?
Well, it's a great thing. I think for it to truly be, and it's a really cool thing, and I think for it truly to be a thing, I'm going to lean on both of you guys on this. Does he go into next season? Is he the starter in net game 1, opening night?
First instinct, I want to say no. I think they'll trade for someone, and next year, like say Baker's brought this up before. Let's say they trade for someone like Jonathan Gibson. And then you can kind of split the games between them. Gibson's an older guy, and you kind of do like a 50-32 split between the two or something like that. But for your night 1 question, I would say no. But I can see Greaves starting about 30-plus games next year.
It's funny, Bo, because if you asked this question 2 weeks ago, it's absolutely not.
Right.
But now after this last 2-week run, I would say there's a shot. I don't know how the Jackets viewed him, how this new front office viewed him as a future goaltender, but I'm guessing their view of him now is a lot different than it was before they called him up when Elvis Merzlikins got hurt for that Buffalo game.
Well, look, it's like what I just did with Tim May on the Julian Sand stuff and the thing with Haskins. They've seen it now. Like in the most important games they played all year, he was brilliant. Now that's why I said to you earlier, guys, like that's why it's so hard at goalie, because like, is this like you just get hot? I mean, this happens in sports. There's a what was his name? Was it the kid with the Knicks? Was it that played at Harvard? Was it Jeremy
Lin? Yeah,
Jeremy Lin.
Linsanity.
Yeah, Linsanity. It was like 2 weeks, and he went nuts, and then that was it. So like, and you see that with like closers sometimes. You see that with hitters in baseball. Like sometimes just fluky things happen, but this felt pretty damn real. So I think that's the thing that's going to be pretty fascinating for them to sort out.
Yeah, well, regardless of if he starts game 1 or not next year, I do believe they bring in a veteran goaltender to at least tandem with him next season. Emeka Egbuka showed up to a local shoe store here in town with some old shoes to sell earlier this week. When the guy at the store asked if he wanted cash or store credit, the former Buckeye wide receiver said that he wanted a store credit and that he wanted the store to give it to the next kid that came in looking to buy shoes. The guy working said that he loved that idea and said that the store would match the total of $350, so $700 went to the next kid that came into that shoe store to buy shoes. Thing or not a thing?
That's awesome. It's a great thing. It's awesome. Good for Emeka, good for the store to do it. Very cool. Good job out of him.
For me, it's a thing as it solidifies that Egbuka is like one of the I wouldn't say can't miss, but close to can't miss, safest prospects in this draft, because, you know, when you draft someone and it's an investment, you don't want someone that's a head case. So if you get someone that has great character like this, along with his great on-the-field stuff, I think this is definitely a thing.
It is not a surprising thing, right? As we talked about, Bo, the last couple of weeks, we knew that like NFL draft, NFL people would love these guys when they got these Buckeyes in rooms, and this just shows you why.
Yeah.
This according to NBA Central, the Mavericks versus the Grizzlies showdown is officially the cheapest NBA play-in game ever on record, according to TickPick. Tickets are starting at $9, with an average fan spending just $41 to get in. The series gets underway in Memphis tonight at 9:30. Thing or not a thing?
Well, it's just one game. It's just the one game tonight. So the winner is in the postseason. They will be the 8th seed. They will have the pleasure of playing Oklahoma City. So that's what's at stake. Here's why this is a thing to me, Bake. This game, initially when you started doing this, I'm like, is this game in Dallas? This game is in Memphis.
Same.
It's in Memphis. So what has happened? Because that used to be like a pretty damn good home court advantage. I know they fired their coach controversially in the last month. I'm sure there's some fatigue with John Morant and all the stuff with him all the time. But that's the thing that's shocking to me, is that this is in Memphis. In Dallas, fine. Okay, makes sense. Like, they're fed up. But why would people in Memphis? I mean, I'm on ESPN right now. Like, tickets, you can get them for $17. By the way, the Atlanta game against Miami, which is the 7 o'clock game, winner gets the Cavs. You can get into that one for $25.
To me, it's not a thing because these are the teams that finished 8th and 10th place in the Western Conference this year. It's like, either team, do they really have a shot to go deep? I mean, I am with you kind of, though, down at the, I think they call it the Grindhouse down there in Memphis.
Grindhouse, right.
You're used to big, enthusiastic crowd. So it's kind of surprising that there isn't more demand. But in the long run, it's like this game is kind of inconsequential to the long run of who wins the NBA Finals, in my opinion.
I mean, Memphis won 48 games this year. They were 26-15 at home.
When I first heard this, I thought, well, $9, that actually seems kind of high to me. But then I realized, hey, this is technically a playoff game, right? This is your team making it into the postseason. You would think that more people would be there. I would imagine, like, if just bringing it closer to home, if the NHL had something like this, I would imagine you couldn't get a ticket to get into Nationwide Arena for this.
I'll push back on you a little bit, though, because last Saturday's noon game, you could have get in for $5. And it wasn't a playoff game, but it was still got to win, got to go. I think the folks' money is spread out so thin, man.
I think with that, though, too, Bo, a lot of people bought tickets for that thinking history. And then they bailed last second. So
right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's something to watch, though. I do think that there are so many things pulling at our attention. You have to make decisions almost on a daily basis, like how I'm going to spend my time, how am I going to spend my money. That's the tricky thing right there. But the fact, when you initially did, I thought for sure it'd be Dallas, and then it made all the sense in the world. What we learned this week, coming up next, a wild week across the board. We will get into all of that. Look back on the week that was. Kyle McCord on Gruden's quarterback camp, the final drive against Michigan, his from 2 years ago. What led to that? What led to his decision to leave Ohio State? And get you updated on the portal as well. Big final hour. Doug Lesmeries at 11:30. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
At Meijer, we work hard to bring more locally grown goodness to life with a farm-fresh selection of crisp vegetables and juicy, ready-to-eat fruit. Whether topping off kebabs on the grill or adding healthy color to a leafy green salad, your family will definitely enjoy the delicious taste of Meijer produce. Plus, you'll appreciate the selection and savings we have to offer. That's the fresh-picked good life, priced for real life. We work hard to make life a good deal better at Meijer.
Spring forward, Columbus, with the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling Services. We're here to thaw you out with this limited time offer. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer is too good to pass up. The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling now together to serve you better with $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer won't last. Call us today, 614-232-2222. That's 614-232-2222.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Guess what? It's driving season, friends, and my friends at Jermaine Lexus are ready for you with their most popular models on the lot and ready to go with special APRs as low as 3.99%, up to 48 months, or 4.49%, up to 60 months with low lease payments starting at $389 per month on the 2025 NX. And if you're looking for a TX, they're finally available for immediate delivery. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations to serve you, Dublin and Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring is here, and it's time to refresh your yard with Ohio Mulch. With 15 convenient locations in Central Ohio, it's easier than ever to get your mulch ready for the season. Need it delivered? No problem. Save $50 on home delivery when you order online. Whether it's mulch, soil, or even stone, we've got your yard covered. Visit OhioMulch.com today and spruce up your garden with the best.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply, greener, greener, better.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Before you start your day, UDF has already started baking your breakfast. We're making biscuits and croissants in our bakery served with sausage, egg, and cheese before you hit your first alarm. Fresh baked breakfast sandwiches from United Dairy Farmers. UDF, mornings made for you.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Ryan Baker. The Columbus Blue Jackets into the season on a high note, beating the New York Islanders 6-1 in Nationwide last night. The Jackets wrap up the regular season on a 6-game winning streak, just short of the playoffs. Jet Greaves won 5 of those games with a .975 save percentage and a .8 goals against average. After the game, speaking of Greaves, the CBJ loaned him and defenseman Denton Matejchuk to Cleveland. They will play in the postseason with the Monsters. The Cincinnati Reds committed 4 errors yesterday in losing to the Seattle Mariners 11-7. They start a series with Baltimore tonight. The Guardians fell to the Orioles last night 6-2. Cleveland heads to Pittsburgh to face the Pirates this weekend. This one's sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates lower than the national average, plus a special rate on balance transfers with a Visa Platinum or Visa with Rewards credit card.
The best hair on the air. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour of the week. Doug coming up at 11:30, as is customary between now and then. Let's see what we learned. Hit it, fellas.
We're not trying to do too much around here, but over the course of 5 days, you might have gleaned some stuff. Bishop and Friends present What We've Learned This Week.
You know, I was thinking about this in regard to the stepping down of Lee Corso officially this week on College Game Day, and we talked to Paul Feinbaum about that, and we had our own kind of thoughts on that, and it got me thinking about college football and where it's at, and this Nico Imalieva story that started to percolate last Thursday, then become very real on Friday, and then became inevitable on Saturday, and as I've said throughout the week, I think he's kind of like the perfect foil for all of this. He's good enough that he demands a lot of compensation, but he's not good enough that he can hold Tennessee over the barrel. And I think him and his representatives misread the situation. I also think that that I'm not going to give Tennessee a whole lot of credit because I think it's kind of easy I think it's relatively easy to take that stance on him. It would have been much more difficult to take that stance if he were Carson Beck or he was someone who was projected to be a top pick in the draft as those guys were a year ago. So he's kind of the perfect guy to take the stand on. But what I really learned this week is how even the folks who are around this sport a lot and comment on it, and in the case of Kirk Herbstreit as a voice of it, a face of it, I don't know if they're just naive on what's actually happening in college athletics or if they're just choosing to put their head in the sand a little bit, because I heard both Herbie and Urban this week like loudly pound the table for this is not what NIL is supposed to be. This is what NIL has always been. It's never not been this. We've been in an NIL world for a while now. This is what it's been. In fact, you don't have to look very far for proof of what this has been. You can look at Nico Amalieva. Why was he at Tennessee? Because they paid him. They compensated him. And yet I was listening to Urban and Herbie this week talk about how, like, pounding the table for this is not what it's supposed to be. This is what it's been the entire time, is this. This is it. And you heard Fran Brown of Syracuse this week take a stand against a receiver, and I think you will see some folks take a stand on some of these demands. But I also think you're worth what someone's willing to pay you. And right now, if you are a great player, then you're going to get paid a lot because there's no guardrails on this still. Maybe there'll be some. I don't think there will be. I think it'll be exactly what it's been until they call them professional athletes. I've been on record on that for years. But to me, yeah, the perception is good for Heupel, but also he was the perfect foil for this. Nico was. And then furthermore, this is what it's been all along. I mean, the guy who's going to go number one next week in the NFL draft made it known leaving Washington State, and I don't blame him. There wasn't anybody thought he'd be the number one pick in the draft when he enrolled at Miami last year. He was an electric player at Washington State, and he made it known, I'm going to the highest bidder. This is my chance to get rich right now. He didn't think he was going number one overall. Are you kidding me? No chance. No chance. So he had to capitalize, and he did. That's why Ohio State wasn't in on him. They didn't want to get on a bidding war. So you have a choice. You can choose to get on this stuff, and you can choose to recruit these players or not. You have to decide. We always did that kind of that graph of your talent, what you're worth versus the pain in the neck. And when the pain in the neck crosses over, that's when you cut bait. And that's what it was with Nico. His talent did not demand that Tennessee continued to put up with the pain in the neck. And that's been the way this sport has been for a while now. And there's the idea that people are just now jumping onto it. Well, wait a second. This isn't what it's supposed to be. Well, this is what it's been from the beginning, guys. This is exactly what it's been from the beginning.
And I understand when they say the intent, right? Like, it wasn't the intent of name, image, and likeness isn't what we've gotten, but because nobody jumped ahead of this, there was no adult in the room and said, hey, these are the guardrails, these are the parameters that we need to have on that. We've gotten what we've gotten in name, image, and likeness, and that's what it's always been. And unfortunately, to me, that means college athletics truly are professional sports now. The only thing we're missing right now is the contract and the salary. Even though they're getting money, it's not technically a salary, and that's a little sad to me. In this Nico situation, it's almost kind of like, it's not exactly, but it's almost kind of like Jared Goff in L.A., right? They gave him a bunch of money, and then they're like, wait a second. We don't think this guy can win us the Super Bowl. Let's go ahead and get rid of him. Now, Nico made the decision for Tennessee because I'm sure if Nico would have just stayed for what he was getting and not tried to get more money and not basically held out, I'm guessing he would still be the starting quarterback at Tennessee next year.
Yeah,
but as you mentioned, he overplays his hand, and they're like, thanks, but no thanks. You move on down the road, and we're going to be fine without you.
A question I don't think people ask enough is, as a college football community, did we ask for this? Like, we all hate the NCAA and, thought it was stupid that college players, couldn't get a Big Mac without there being an infraction. I think the NCAA one day was just like, all right, we wash our hands of this, and now it's the wild, wild west. And it's kind of like for them, for me, the one time they were right, and they're kind of able to say, I told you so, because now we get the NIL environment that we have right now.
So 2 things on that. Number one, when people say the NCAA, it's important to remember that that's the institutions. The president of the NCAA is not like an army of Pinkertons, like governing. Like they work for the presidents and the athletic directors and the institutions and the conference commissioners. So they're doing what they want. Here's what they did. I've used this analogy before with opening up a free portal without any sort of thought to the calendar of it. I mean, it makes no sense. So they opened up the portal and then they said, okay, here's NIL, go nuts. It's Jesus take the wheel, except you don't believe in Jesus. It's like, fine, you do it. I don't know, you handle it. And it's like, wait, what? This is all, and now each state has their own laws on this stuff that it's going to be impossible. They keep claiming, they keep wanting to go to Congress to save them. Congress can't get anything done. They're not going to get it. They got bigger fish to fry, man. They can't be worried about this. We've had 100 congressional hearings in the last 3 years. I mean, that might be low. It feels like there's one every month. Sometimes there's several going at the same time. Nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of it because they use the Titanic analogy. They just drove right into the iceberg. So we can't. All right, fine. You want this? Here you go. Have it. All the while, the money in the sport gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you don't hear Herbie or Urban complaining, and Ryan's in our town, and this is someone's willing to pay, so that's fine. But you don't hear anyone complaining about head coaches making $11 million a year, or strength coaches making $1.5 million. You don't hear anybody complaining about that. Where's the outrage in that? Strength coach at Ohio State when I first got here made $89,000.
And that's where this all started to head in this direction, right? To me, when
the money got too big.
People started complaining about players leaving and this and that, and well, this coach can go do whatever he wants whenever.
Yes.
And then the salaries started getting higher and higher and higher, and that's when it's like, well, hey, wait a second. These are the guys that are actually putting the product on the field, that are risking bodily harm and everything.
I remember years ago being at Buckeye Corner when, like, they had somebody at Ohio State, somebody with Tress was like, I remember that going something like this, like, you better order some number 2s. And this was for Pryor, his freshman year. Like, you better order some 2s. And I remember looking and thinking, like, look at all the 5s that they were selling. And like Braxton, nothing. So that's what it was intended to be. And I think it could have been that. But when they opened that can of worms on guys should get compensation if we're going to sell their jersey. But you want to know how you could have done that and had guardrails on it? Collectively bargained it. Call them pros. That's how the NFL, they get a cut of their jerseys. Luka Doncic gets a cut of the 77s that have been sold.
And that's
they get a cut of it. It's collectively bargained.
And that's like the very first part of this, right? Was the Ed O'Bannon lawsuit in the video game. That was kind of the thing that kickstarted everything.
Yeah, it was. And that's something that it's hard for people to wrap their head around because it's so far gone now. Speaking of college football and the transfer portal, it is filling up. Included in that is a Notre Dame quarterback. I'll get you the details on that. Also let you know if any more Buckeyes have entered the portal. And Kyle McCord with John Gruden on his decision to leave Ohio State and his feelings watching his former team win the national championship. We'll have that for you coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And well, we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
This spring, celebrate the women who made you, raised you, and stood by you. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar. For over 78 years, whether it's for Mother's Day, an anniversary, graduation, or just because, we've had the perfect gifts for the women who mean the world to you. At Diamond Cellar, you'll find timeless jewelry they'll cherish forever because every woman deserves a little sparkle. For all your spring gifting needs, visit Diamond Cellar on Selma Road and at Easton Town Center, or shop online at diamondcellar.com.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up. Select varieties or buy 2, get 3 free with your card. Limit 10. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
You
pay what we pay with employee pricing at Coughlin Ford. Take over $5,500 off MSRP on a new 24 Ford Escape. Employee price $28,000. Or take over $7,000 off MSRP on new 25 F-150s and 24 F-250s. Visit CoughlinFord.com.
Coughlin has the car for you.
All factory rebates to dealer. All prior sales excluded. In-stock units only. Must finance through Ford Motor Credit. Not all will qualify. No security deposit required. Residency restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. Ends 4/30/25.
Can I get Mega Millions?
Good choice. Mega Millions is bigger than ever. Jackpots now start at $50 million and grow faster.
Sounds mega.
And now, every game has a built-in multiplier, so all non-jackpot prizes are multiplied between 2 and 10 times.
Bigger prizes, better odds, and just $5? Give me 2.
Mega Millions is bigger and better than ever. Get your tickets today at your local Ohio lottery retailer. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
Hurry up, dude. The game's about to start.
Nothing beats spending the day watching the game with your buddies.
Dude, I'm literally right here. Let's do this.
Which is why a shelter insurance renter's policy is key to your winning game plan. It protects things your landlord's policy doesn't.
Dude, where's your TV?
What? No way, dude.
Like that flat screen TV that just got stolen. To draft an agent for your team, visit shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Hi, here are some ways to listen to The Fan. You can download the Fan app, or listen at home on your smart speaker, or open up the iHeartRadio app, or hold your head out the window and hear Common Man scream. Happy listening from the Dopes at The Fan.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
90% of students in Ohio and 95% of students with disabilities learn and grow in our public schools. Our lawmakers must keep their promise to our kids by using the Fair School Funding Plan's predictable, adequate funding formula in this budget so our students can get the great public education they deserve.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We're looking at a great afternoon, so make sure you get out and enjoy it. We'll be in the low 80s, but a little bit windy, so keep that in mind. More sunshine as well. We'll see temperatures tonight, mid-60s, pretty dry through the overnight until we get to early Saturday. That's when showers and storms return. A few could be strong, mid-70s. Lingering rain Easter, but there will be dry time as well. That's your latest 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
1, 2, 3. Here at The Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. The Fan. Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
I tell you, the portal keeps popping. To this point, the Buckeyes have steered mostly clear of it. Couple of guys in, but nothing significant in terms of, you'd be looking at quarterbacks and receivers and running backs in line, and none of that. All of that seems pretty locked in. There's been a bunch of guys who pop in on a daily basis. Obviously, there'll be so many guys who pop in, they won't have homes. That's just going to be part of it, too, and that's the other. We think of it at the highest end, right? We spend a lot of time thinking about, like, Amalieva, or you think about what happened last year with Saban leaving and just the rating of the Alabama program that we benefited from tremendously. But there's also the bottom half of it where there's too many guys in the portal for spots. And that plays out, too, where guys jump in, get bad advice, and all of a sudden find themselves, without a scholarship at all. Were you surprised? You would text me this, Bake. Angeli, the quarterback from Notre Dame, popped in the portal yesterday. my response after you said it to me was Marcus is not afraid to go young here. And I think it speaks to how Marcus has ran that Notre Dame program, which is give me young talent and I'm good with that. And this is the first time that he's done this at quarterback. It'll be Carr. It's Lloyd Carr's grandson is going to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. He had a great spring game by all accounts too. Had a great spring game, and I think the tea leaves have been read by Angeli, and it'll be Carr at quarterback at Notre Dame, and Marcus saying, I like what I see out of the youngster.
So it didn't surprise me that CJ Carr would beat out Steve Angeli and Angeli would leave if that was the case. It's just not the script we've seen at Notre Dame here recently. No. They've had Sam Hartman that they brought in as an experienced quarterback. Then they had Riley Leonard that they brought in as an experienced quarterback, and you would think Angeli is the experienced quarterback. Now, the thing that Notre Dame didn't have before was CJ Carr, a highly touted, rated prospect at the quarterback position. So it doesn't surprise me that this happened. I think I'm maybe surprised that Notre Dame has said, hey, we're going this way, maybe this early, that CJ Carr beat out Steve Angeli that bad that they made the decision in spring already.
Yeah, it also might be, you have to think the other thing that's really important here is it's really important the reputation of coaches with their players. College football sometimes seems like something that's too big to wrap your arms around, but it's also a really small world. And I think word gets out if you do somebody wrong. I think if you go back to Haskins-Burrow, Urban wanted Joe to stay. Like, come on, he wanted him to stay. But he also knew that the kid put in a ton of time, and he wasn't going to be the starting quarterback in the fall, and that he deserved a chance. And so I think that might also be the case here, where Marcus had a very frank conversation with Angeli and said, look, we're going in another way. I want you to have an opportunity to play somewhere else. And that could be part of this. And I think there's value in that for the coaches that do that.
And sometimes it works out for everyone involved, right? Like you mentioned with Burrow and Haskins, that worked out for both sides perfectly. And we're going to talk about Kyle McCord here in a little bit. That seemed to work out for both sides pretty well, too.
I think that I don't know that I think Kyle would have much rather have just had that season here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, and he will play some of this because it's pretty wild. He was on Gruden quarterback camp. It's interesting because I was talking to Brugler, and I'm pretty sure he has this. I think he has Kyle ahead of Quinn and Will. And that's a pretty wild thing to wrap your head around as a prospect, that Kyle is a higher Now, he was a 5-star kid coming out of Philly, so it's not like he's came from nowhere. I mean, he was a 4 or 5-star kid when he got here, and he waited for 2 years behind CJ and all of that. But he's kind of past the other two in terms of the way the NFL views them.
I have seen some people have Kyle as high as number 4 on their boards. I think every mock draft I've seen has Will and Kyle going ahead of Quinn. Which a few years ago here seemed unfathomable.
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah, and I've even pushed back on some people, like, what do we get wrong on Quinn? Because when he enrolled here, he was a perfect prospect. That was it. Now, he enrolled here a year early. They wanted him to wait a year, but everybody knows the story. But, like, what happened to him as a quarterback that he went from perfect prospect to 6th, 7th quarterback coming off of, in a draft? He might have been smarter staying in college and making more money playing quarterback finishing school somewhere else, USC or something like that. It might have made more sense doing that. I think he's made a lot of money, so he's probably fine, but something to consider there. So McCord's on quarterback camp with John Gruden. We played some of the Will Howard stuff earlier this week on his conversation with Gruden. There's some good stuff here. Let's start with the highlight, I think, of Kyle McCord's time as a starter at Ohio State, and that's the end of the Notre Dame game.
Back to the sideline, and I kind of pointed to it. You don't want to make a big scene, have them see that they're missing a guy.
You noticed it, though, right?
Yeah, the luck wasn't with the
So what was the play call here?
This is just 13 cab.
What a hell of a win, though, man. What are you saying here? Hey.
I mean, you know how those Notre Dame.
What are you saying there?
Boosters are. They're letting us hear it all game.
Come on, what are you saying there?
Nah, I don't know if I can repeat.
Come on, man. Let me feel a little Kyle McCord. What are you saying there?
I was probably just telling them to, go the f home, beat the traffic. No Notre Dame fan is from Indiana. They got flights to catch to go back home and stuff like that. So
I love it.
I did notice that Gruden is doing with a lot of these guys. He's really egging them on to like cuss. Like he did that with Will too, and he did it with Kyle in this one, and then they become just kind of comfortable with it. Go ahead, Beck.
And of course, the beginning there, he's talking about noticing that Notre Dame only had 10 guys on the field, and he's trying to signal to the sideline that that's the case, but not letting Notre Dame know that's the case at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Here is Kyle on the final drive against Michigan.
The play before that, threw a dig and he caught it and they punched it out and we recovered it. And so we were going tempo. We called switch verts and we had him up. And so we're getting on the ball and they call a timeout to review it right before. So they had an opportunity to just kind of scheme it up, and then we changed the play call.
Oh, you changed it.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
But that's hard to play quarterback, hard to make throws down the field with that kind of pressure, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. That kind of seals the fate. If that ball lands in the arms of Marvin Harrison and they win, Kyle McCord quarterbacks Ohio State last year. It's just that simple. He was asked by Gruden on his decision to leave Ohio State. Here's his answer on that.
But what happened to you at Ohio State? I don't understand.
Yeah, the transfer portal, it's, the wild, wild west. I had a few conversations and things happened quickly, and I decided to get in the portal before the bowl game. So it happened fast.
They just couldn't commit to you as the quarterback or what?
Yeah. It was just, I thought just going on from year one to year two, I'd make a big improvement and wanted to come back. And, they went in a different direction.
Yeah. I think what they said was like, hey, we'll welcome you back, but you're going to have to win it again. You're going to have to compete for it. And that was something. I understand his vantage point too. Like, I've done this for a year. I waited for 2 years. You picked me. Like, let me see year two. And he's actually pretty good in year one. I just think that the scar of the Michigan loss was something that kind of hung over everybody. So then he had to do the impossible, which was watch his former teammates win a national championship. Here's Kyle on that.
Now this guy, he comes in. I got to ask you this: Will Howard. He was in here the other day. Yeah. He's a hell of a guy too. Do you look at the Buckeyes thinking, son of a bitch?
No, I was happy for them. I think it worked out for me going to Syracuse, and obviously worked out for them. So I think it was one of those rare instances where both parties benefited from it.
Good for him. Good for him, taking the high road on that. And I don't think that was disingenuous. I'm sure that they're probably he did have the comments after the Michigan game, right?
He was, we were talking about that earlier today because they had the big Miami win that day, I believe, right? And he was on the podium and someone asked him just about them getting that big win while his former team loses their big game. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he really said anything. He just kind of leaned into it like, yeah, feels pretty good, something like that. But I don't think he really came after Ohio State. He just didn't throw any water on the fire that was in front of him.
Yeah, I think that in the end, I'm very appreciative of him and the time that he was here, and I do think that it kind of all worked out. And I'm really proud of him for what it's worth. Not that he needs my approval or pride, but I'm very proud of him from the standpoint of what he did at Syracuse, because that's not where I thought he would land. I don't think that's where he thought he would land in the portal, but you end up where you end up. And he took full advantage of it and played himself into somebody who's going to get drafted next week.
And you hear Gruden in this QB camp. He has because when you hear the beginning of that one clip where he's like, what happened to you, man? He's got the stats up on the screen. And McCord has the 7th highest season total passing yardage in Ohio State history. He completed 65% of his passes. Kyle McCord wasn't a terrible quarterback. He's actually a pretty good quarterback here at Ohio State. Ohio State just felt they wanted to go to that next level, and they wanted him to prove it again. And I kind of wonder, and I think it's a fit thing, right, with Will Howard and the athletic ability. That's one thing that I think might hold Kyle back at the next level is his lack of athletic ability and running the football a little bit. I don't think I have any question Kyle at the next level can spin it. It's just some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I think at Ohio State he played with burden, and he played with I've got to play perfect, and I think at Syracuse he just let it fly, sometimes to detriment. He threw 5 picks in a game last year too. So, like, I just think he was a little bit checked down Charlie here, and then at Syracuse he went and played, and I think the NFL liked what they saw. So good for him. Happy for him.
I'll always wonder how he would have been with another year here.
Sure, yeah, I think it's natural. Especially if Will didn't win the national title, then you'd really be curious how that would have looked. Doug Lesmeries in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Guess what? It's driving season, friends, and my friends at Jermaine Lexus are ready for you with their most popular models on the lot and ready to go with special APRs as low as 3.99% up to 48 months or 4.49% up to 60 months with low lease payments starting at $389 per month on the 2025 NX. And if you're looking for a TX, they're finally available for immediate delivery. Jermaine Lexus, 2 locations to serve you, Dublin and Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I always have the greenest lawn in the neighborhood. It's luscious. I swear by 2 things, water and Weed Man. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will make sure your lawn is weed-free and looking gorgeous. Of course, they get rid of weeds, but they also do aeration, mosquito control, grub control, crabgrass prevention, and flea and tick control for your 4-legged friends. For a free quote, give them a call, 614-733-3747, weedmanusa.com. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
11:30 on a Friday. We like to talk to our good buddy Doug Lesmeries, Kings of the North, with Bill Landis on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. We've got the Michigan spring game Saturday. Other than that, I think they're all cooked. What have you learned, if anything, about spring football in the North over the last month, buddy?
Yeah, I think Penn State next week, too.
Are they a week away?
I think they're a week away. And
okay.
BTN not showing the Michigan spring game until next week. So if there are Ohio State fans who want to get eyeballs about their, like Sharon Moore, I think, asked them to delay it so that they wouldn't show their guys until the portal's closed. So, like, interesting, interesting ideas there. But we did this big on Kings of the North this week. There's a lot of interesting young quarterbacks in the North, and it's so different than a year ago where you had Dylan Gabriel at Oregon and Will Howard at Ohio State and Riley Leonard at Notre Dame as veteran transfers coming in. Those schools, all of them, and then Michigan in that group too, have young guys who are big-time recruits but who have not played really. So it's Dante Moore at Oregon. It's Julian Sand, obviously, at Ohio State. I think like what he showed in the spring game really mattered. CJ Carr at Notre Dame seems to have won that job to the extent that Steve Angeli, the veteran who was in that fight, is in the portal, which is one of those things. Maybe it could make you a little nervous, but it's actually a good sign for Notre Dame that the second-year guy, Lloyd Carr's grandson, went out and balled out in the spring game last week and seems like he won that job. And then Bryce Underwood at Michigan, it's just one of those things. You have to be honest with Ohio State fans. We said this on the show this week. Ohio State transformed itself with quarterback play in the Ryan Day era. Yes, you had Troy Smith and Rex Kern and Joe Germain and guys like that before, but this Haskins, Fields, Stroud, Will Howard, Julian Sand run, it's a new type of program. They changed their identity. And maybe Michigan is doing that with Bryce Underwood, who's the number 1 recruit in the country. Seems like he has to be the guy, QB1 in the fall. And if Michigan all of a sudden is getting some elite quarterback play, that has a chance to be transformational for them the way it's been transformational for Ohio State. So, you just have to be honest about this, that we have a chance in November. Bryce Underwood versus Julian Sand in the game has a chance to be awesome.
It sure does. It's interesting that you went that way with Underwood, because I actually used him as an example of what happened at Tennessee with Nico Amalieva. And the way I used it was, people say, well, why did Nico get all that money at Tennessee? Because Josh Heupel needed a recruiting win in a big way. Yes. And Nico was the number 2 quarterback in the country in that class. The number 1 was Arch Manning. And Tennessee was at a point where, you can use the word desperate. I think it's fair. They needed a win. They needed a program momentum at quarterback, and that's what they got. I think the same thing happened at Michigan with Underwood. He wanted to go to LSU. He really had no real interest in Michigan until all of a sudden Larry Ellison's partner and Dave Portnoy get together and put a bunch of money together, and then he stays there. Everybody knows the story by now. So I think you perhaps we're both right here, that his ceiling is as high as any. But I also think because Sharon Moore needed a win. They needed something positive. I mean, everything was swirling negative. They needed a big win, and they got it. It took money to do it. But always be careful if finances are the number one thing that gets you to a place. I'm always a little bit of a red flag on that, Doug.
I do think it's different, though, because Nico's coming from California and landing at Tennessee with no connection, and this is keeping a local kid home, right? So I do think to keep a Detroit kid at Michigan – and, he didn't have interest there before. But I also think a part of it is, it sounds like, the reports that you read out of Ann Arbor, Chip Lindsey, the new offensive coordinator, is maybe going to, let the quarterback throw it a little bit more. Not that they're going to get away from the Michigan identity of running the ball and offensive line play. But it feels like players are seeing a pairing of talented young quarterback who does throw it pretty well, with a new coordinator that is maybe going to attack things in a different way. So I agree. Of course, you saw after last year, Michigan and Sharon Moore needed to win, but it feels like to me that it is wrapped in a plan. I don't know that it's I wouldn't call it desperate. I think it is like a stake in the ground. Michigan wants to compete in the new era. And by the way, they're only 2 years removed from one of the national championships. So also I think, they are in a different place than Tennessee was, notwithstanding Harbaugh and the whole staff leaving, Connor Stallions, all those things. So I think it definitely has no guarantees, but I would just caution any Ohio State fans, I wouldn't blow off the Bryce Underwood era, right? No, this definitely has a chance to be real.
That's what I said. The ceiling's really high. That I just think if it goes bad, look out. Where did you, as you watched I was fascinated by the Amalieva stuff. The fact that they used the media to kind of pressure Tennessee. Yeah. The fact that if an NFL holdout or like an NBA player holdout, I'm not going to go to practice, and then Tennessee's perfect. And I've kind of said he was kind of the perfect foil for this, because he's good, but he's not so good that your program falls off the cliff if you don't have him next year. So he was kind of the perfect one to be made an example of, from my view, Doug.
And it's hard. I think we're always looking for lines in the sand, things that change the sport. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It might just be a family in a situation and people who played their hand wrong. And I don't know if it's going to all of a sudden usher in the new norm. That we've seen that before. We've seen at times. There are situations where it feels like somebody overplays their hand and then that's it. We talked about Matthew Sluka at UNLV last year, when the starting quarterback at UNLV is hey, you didn't give me the NIL money that you said I was going to get. I'm out. And then UNLV just played the backup quarterback, who turned out to be better than Sluka, and then made the Big West title game. The Mountain West title game. And it was okay, in the moment, I think you could find people who okay, that's it. A starting quarterback, NIL dispute in the middle of the year, he's out. The sport has changed forever. And it's no, it wasn't. It was just a thing that happened. So I'm very intrigued by it. It is interesting to feel like more of the sport is lined up with the team than it's lined up with the player. But I also don't know if it means this is what's going to happen all the time with everybody.
I think it can happen only when it's a player like this or lesser. If this is Nussmeier at LSU, LSU's coming up with the money. If it's Arch at Texas, Texas is coming up with the money. Hell, if it's Arch at Tennessee, Tennessee's coming up with the money, right? He's the perfect player to walk away from and make an example of, because he's good enough that it would get everybody's attention, and also because of everything you've heard about how he was always kind of a get the biggest bag kid. We knew that about him from the beginning. So in that instance, he's the perfect player to be made an example of.
And I don't know. I mean, these guys have every right to get every last penny, but it's still not the end-all, be-all. It's still the NFL is the end-all, be-all. So there are also going to be guys who are like, well, am I after every last penny, or this is a good spot for me? We have a good offensive line. I like the play caller. They're going to develop me. And the bigger bag's the NFL anyway. And if I all of a sudden start bouncing around, am I going to turn myself from a first-round pick into a third-round pick, and I'm going to lose more money than I ever would have made trying to max out my NIL? So, and again, Nico, like with where he is as a player, he's not a first-round pick right now. So it is. No. I do think your point. It's sort of a rare set of circumstances. And again, the thing in the end, I think we said it last week, he's only at Tennessee for NIL.
That's
so then he only left Tennessee for NIL. Okay. Are there, when you look at other things, are there guys who the only reason they're out of school is NIL? Okay. And maybe you're saying this with Underwood. But then maybe I would say, well, it still is a local kid. They also have a new OC. Maybe there's some things in place there that's beyond NIL only. So, it's interesting. It's not great, but I don't know that I'm waiting for, 25 Nikos in the spring portal next year.
I'm with you. I think nothing changes. I think nothing changes with this House case. I think it's all I think nothing happens until they call them pro athletes. And let me get you out of here on this one. Rory McIlroy had this emotional win at Augusta on Sunday. This is coming off of what we saw from Ryan Day, where he collapsed when they won the national championship against Notre Dame. You think about the pressure on him. Who's next in this sport with the pressure to win it all? And who's the next
college
guy?
Football?
Yeah, college football. Yeah. Sport we talk about.
And by the way, I'm sure you talked about this week. The only person that I thought of as a comp for Rory McIlroy was Ryan Day.
Yes.
And I thought that Rory McIlroy, 11 years of waiting, like that was compressed into like a month for Ryan Day in Ohio State. That it was I think, so similar in the heartbreak. And again, it's like failure plus time equals like tragedy and triumph. It's just like Ohio State was, a micro version of Rory. It's James Franklin. So we did that. We said who's the most important person in Northern college football for 2025, and we did a 64-player person bracket, and we arrived at James Franklin at Penn State because Dabo Swinney, Jim Harbaugh, guys like that, good coaches, successful coaches, didn't get a national title until about a decade in, right? Maybe he's that. Maybe this is it for Penn State. It's like it just took James Franklin a while, but he got over the top. Or he's Mark Richt. He's somebody like at Georgia who never got there, and then somebody else has to come in and be their Kirby Smart, which maybe would be like Matt Rule, Penn State player, comes from Nebraska to get Penn State somewhere they couldn't get with Franklin. But I think, I think it's very similar to where Ryan Day was last year with everything's lined up for you. You've been good. Now it's time to get over the top. And again, like what Ryan Day and Ohio State faced with Michigan, James Franklin faces that with Ohio State. He's beaten Ohio State once. But also, Ohio State didn't beat Michigan last year, and they won the national title. Maybe James Franklin and Penn State won't beat Ohio State this year, but maybe they can still win the national title. I think it's clearly him.
Do you think Penn State demands that real quick? Like the fan base? Do they demand that?
I don't. I think they want to demand it, and I think they still are reeling a little bit from the way everything went down after Paterno. But I think they feel like they've gotten their NIL in order. And even, for instance, Trevor Pena, who's a really good slot receiver from Syracuse, went in the portal. And I think there's reports of Penn State sniffing around that. Like, that would be an addition to this. Like, here they go. And I think you just see it with the guys they kept. They kept both running backs. They kept Drew Aller. They kept Denai Dennis Sutton. It's so similar to Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think they've held back on quite demanding it, but I think they might demand it this year because they see the opportunity.
Always enjoy the conversation, buddy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Bo.
All right, there he goes, Doug Lesmeries, Kings of the North, of course, with Bill Landis on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We get you three things on a Friday up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. Just freak the hell out of someone. The Fan.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, CARE was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, CARE is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
1-800-GOT-JUNK makes space for possibilities.
When our clean, shiny truck arrives, it's the sign of a new beginning, a clean start, a breath of fresh air.
All the animals start giggling, a rainbow appears, and music fills the air.
Your best friend calls with happy news. Every table has fresh flowers on it, and your nights are full of candlelight.
We bring the springtime.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here to let you know that Clayton Home's Go Big and Go Home sales event is going on now. Go big this year with a new, affordable, energy-efficient, modern manufactured home. Clayton Homes is changing the way homes are built, making them affordable to buy and cost less to live in. Every Clayton-built home uses quality products from the world's most trusted brands and comes equipped with energy-smart features for year-round comfort and a lifetime of savings. The craftsmen at Clayton build their homes in state-of-the-art facilities to protect your new home from the elements during construction. Clayton Homes and Freedom Homes are ready to help you find your dream home. They're here to help answer all of your questions, from floor plans to design features. Check out their fully furnished new home models and see all the options available to create the perfect home for you. For a limited time, you can save even more on select homes during Clayton Homes Go Big and Go Home sales event. Don't wait. This event ends April 30th. Visit the local Clayton Homes near you or browse their limited time deals at gobigandgohomesale.com.
The Buckeye Show.
The next year or two, you giving him a shot to win it? I am. Devontae Smith wins the Heisman. You can't picture Jeremiah winning it?
I don't see how you could.
The Buckeye Show.
Presented by Coors Light and sponsored by CareSource.
Weeknights at 6 on The Fan.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, Kroger brand bone-in hickory smoked spiral ham is only 79 cents a pound with your card, an additional $25 purchase. Limit 2. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Spring forward, Columbus, with the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling Services. We're here to thaw you out with this limited time offer. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer is too good to pass up. The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling now together to serve you better with $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer won't last. Call us today, 614-232-2222. That's 614-232-2222.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric, and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, what do we have on the poll today, Bake? Oh, I caught you.
You know what? You did catch me, but we're going to pull that up here really fast because it is always easy to find 971 The Fan over on Twitter, which is where you can find the daily fan poll. And it is sponsored by Caster Connect. Which of these 2004 first-round picks had the best career in the NFL? Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, or Ben Roethlisberger. And Ben Roethlisberger is winning the poll with 61.1% of the votes. Eli Manning, number 2 at 37.2%, and Phillip Rivers with just 1.7%.
it feels like Ben by a landslide.
I agree.
Eli has 2, though.
But doesn't Ben have 2? Didn't he get 2?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, one early and one late.
It's Ben.
He had one
by
with
far.
Jerome Bettis, and then he got another one. Then he threw the ball to Santonio
Holmes. It's right.
Yeah,
it's Ben by far.
I think it's Ben not close. I think Ben walks in on the first ballot into Canton. To me, I think it's Ben for sure. And I do think this is the thing, like Steelers fans sometimes they act like they're sick of Tomlin. And it's like they got to basically be Super Bowl contenders for Roethlisberger's entire career. You could go into every season saying, yeah, we got a shot. And it wasn't until he was cooked, and the fact that they still make the playoffs or still have winning record despite the fact they don't have a franchise quarterback is crazy. To me, that's an incredible accomplishment. Basically, this is what drafting a quarterback and landing on one does. It gives you a window to compete for the playoffs and for Super Bowls every single year, and they have that with Roethlisberger for sure. So Rivers is one of those ones where, I don't know, just he really put up a ton of stats. They won a lot of games, but just there was a ceiling to it, and they just could not get out of an AFC that had Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger in it. He was the fourth guy in that group.
I feel like the Chargers are literally reliving Phillip Rivers right now with Justin Herbert.
You might be right. All right, time for 3 things on a Friday. Hit it, guys.
1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Buckeye Lake Marina, Central Ohio's largest selection of new and pre-owned boats. Find your next dream boat at BuckeyeLakeMarina.com.
All right, number 1 for me. I don't ask much of the weather gods, and most of the times, even if I do ask, they just ignore me. But tomorrow, 10 to noon, NBC has lacrosse games against UA. I'm very excited to see how they play against one of the better teams in the whole state. And I see that there's like thunderstorms in the forecast for tomorrow at mid-morning. Give me a couple hours. We've been dodging weather garbage all spring. Haven't been able to get games in, games canceled, games delayed. We need to play some games, and this would be a fun one to do. So I'm asking for the weather gods to give me a little help tomorrow.
My first thing, and I'm guessing this is going to be pretty similar to Dylan's, but just what a great night it was at Nationwide Arena last night. Kind of a recap of the whole season with everything. It was great to hear the Johnny Hockey chants before the game, to hear him start with about 4 minutes left. Then great job out of the Blue Jackets promotion staff, game management staff, to play Johnny Be Good as the team was on the ice afterwards, saluting the fans and giving some of their fans their sticks. Also good on the Blue Jackets last night. Matt Martin was playing his final NHL game, and he was walking off the ice. James Van Riensdijk literally went over and grabbed his jersey from behind, pulled him back out on the ice, and every Blue Jackets player shook his hand, gave him a little pat on the shoulder or a hug. Very cool. This is a season that I have been lucky enough to be down at Nationwide Arena a lot for these games.
Yeah.
And I got to do slap shots this year with some of the guys getting ready for some stuff hopefully we're doing next year. Just feel very special and privileged to be around that as much as I was this year.
Since you went there, I'm going to go a different direction. My first thing is gratitude, and that's because, so when I was a kid growing up in New York, I thought I wanted to play center field for the New York Yankees, and I quickly realized that was a hefty expectation to have. So I thought, what would the next best thing to do? And it would be talk about sports on sports radio. When we moved to Ohio, I started listening to this very station and, listening to guys like you, Bo, and Anthony Rothman and Common Man. This was where I always wanted to be. So this spot right here today, being on with you guys, is kind of like a full circle moment for me in my career. So I want to thank you guys and thank Eric for taking a PTO day that allowed me to fill in for him.
Well, you're welcome here anytime. Hell of a job by you today, my friend. Number 2 for me. So I don't know how I missed that Tim and Tyvis have hosted shows before through the years. I'm not missing tonight. Like, I'm in. Those two, 6 to 8, I'm going to be driving around picking kids up from lacrosse practices. That's perfect. I cannot wait to hear that and hear where those two go. And I think sometimes in that instance, like, plan nothing and just see where it goes. That feels like a little bit of a win, and especially with those two.
I'll never forget that first time, Bo, when neither of them, like, they both thought, like, Tyvis thought Tim was bringing the show sheet. Tim thought the producer. I was here after the fact. Tim thought the producer gave him the show sheet, and everybody showed up, and they had no clue what was going on. It was pretty amazing.
They'd always probably done 2-chair.
Yeah.
And sometimes producers put the whole show together, but like on our show, I put it together, and then you guys put the finishing touches on it. But yeah, they both probably thought, well, aren't you doing it? Isn't he doing it?
Miscommunication everywhere, but they did a great job with it. You mentioned the weather tomorrow. The weather's supposed to be pretty daggone nice this afternoon and this evening. I'm kind of torn here. I don't know what I want to do. If I want to try to hit the golf course or if I want to go to the Clippers game tonight. So I need to figure out here during my update shift after what I'm going to do this evening.
Buddy, the amount of people when you have a day like this racing to the course.
I know. It's going to be crazy.
Look, it's just going to be blood in the water, man.
My second thing, and I know Bake's with me on this one, WrestleMania this weekend.
Yes.
You got main event night one, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. And then night 2, heel John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. I'm pretty excited for WrestleMania this weekend, Bo.
Why did they do heeled Cena versus Cody on Sunday night?
I think because that's the more main event of the two main events. They did this thing where there's 2 main events now. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that, but that is the true main event in my opinion.
Bob's going to be there.
Yeah, he went. I don't know if he knew when he booked it that it was 2 nights.
He had to, right?
I don't know, maybe. My kids are into it, and the cool thing for them is they're going to be able to watch it because, of course, as I said earlier in the show, they have a mini spring break here. We just had spring break 2 weeks ago, another mini spring break. So 4-day weekend for them. Happy Easter to everybody out there, those who participate, and so that'll be my third thing. Everybody have a great Happy Easter out there.
My last one, 26 years ago yesterday, the Saints gave up their whole draft for Ricky Williams, and it makes me feel pretty good as a Browns fan that my team's not the only one that gets fleeced in trades.
My third thing is to listen to the show coming up next, Rothman and Ice. It's Chin Music with Jensen Lewis at 2:30, so tune in for that.
You have that to look forward to, which is nice. We're back here on Monday. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Common Man has spent the past 18 years telling you how much he hates people. And yes, that probably means you, too. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan.
When your sump pump is no longer sumping and pumping, please don't become a sump pump grump.
A sump pump grump thinks whacking the pump will make it start working again.
But it never does.
Get Eco.
ECO. A sump pump grump will let a faulty sump pump completely ruin a perfectly good day.
Fortunately, I've invented a solution.
No more sump pump grump?
No more sump pump grump.
Get Eco.
ECO. Tell me about it, Jerry.
The solution is that you get Eco to do a sump pump inspection.
What would that include?
We check your pump, your battery backup, and all the downspouts and drains along the way to make sure everything is running clear.
How much?
That's up to you, Aaron.
Jerry, Eco would be happy to do that for just $89.
That's a great price.
Get Eco.
ECO. Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Go to geteco.com.
And the top overall pick in this year's draft is the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. That's right, it's number 1 in my heart. This is Scotty Vegas, and we're hosting a special draft show and watch party starting at 7 p.m. Thursday, April 24th for the first round of the draft. Watch and place wagers on the picks with over 30 kiosks, contests, prizes, and a live show at 7 at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Open a money market account at Kemba Financial Credit Union and enjoy 4.40% APY intro rate until 2026. That's 6 times the national average. Get the flexibility you need with easy access to your funds. Don't miss out. Offer expires April 30th, 2025. Visit Kemba.org. Restrictions apply. Advantage status and $5,000 minimum and $1 million maximum deposit required. APY equals annual percentage yield. Comparison based on FDIC average. Federally insured by NCUA.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
The sports calendar is heating up, and with ESPN Bet Sportsbook, you can go from checking news and stats to placing bets in just a couple of taps. Stream games, bet live, and get exclusive offers when you link your ESPN account. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code JOEQ to get started today. That's JOEQ, JOEQ. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on Green Bay's team. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American.